Woo-hoo. You want to dance, motherfuckers? Yeah. Got the disco ball swirling. Music's playing. Got our high heels on. We're ready. We are ready. This fucking basketball team, man. Oh, man. That was good. That was good. That was exciting. What a game. What a team. Like, so you can't talk about that game without talking about the performance the individual performance that we just witnessed. But at the same time, that game was not about Jalen Brunson. That game was about the New York Knicks. And that is a strange dichotomy because here is this player who came in here after the team he was on. He said, I'm not, take it or leave it. I'll sign now. If you don't sign me now before last season, that's it. And because he's a responsible adult and him and his dad had a conversation, they're like, you know what? Let's give them one more shot. It's life-changing money for a guy who hadn't made anything. He was on a second-round picks salary, I don't know what Rick Brunson makes as a coach. I don't think he made much in his career, but it's like if you get that 55 over 4 years, get the 55. And they gave them a second chance. They gave them a second chance in January after he had already had a stretch without Luka in the lineup where he kept that team afloat. And he said, listen, this is our one last chance. 4 for 55. You give it to him, he stays. You got him for the next 4 years. And they said no. They said no. So he came here with that chip. He already had a chip on his shoulder. He came here with that chip on his shoulder. And they have managed to, the front office has managed to build a team. And they've done it over the years, but man, have they put the finishing touches on it this past offseason. And my God, for as much as this was the Jalen Brunson game, and I don't know how many points he had. I don't really care how many points he had. This was almost the Isaiah Hartenstein game as much as it was the Jalen Brunson game. We're going to talk about him in a second. But that's what I mean. And then you could also go right down the line, like Josh Hart, huge plays. Deuce McBride, huge plays. Obi Toppin, 19 minutes. Okay. Got the Obi-Wan shirt on here in support of the new starting power forward, but did his job, all the way down. Quentin Grimes, we'll talk about Quentin and he did a very nice job tonight. Necessary on both ends of the floor, but this team picks each other up. Julius Randle goes down. Jalen Brunson's like, I got you. I got the 48 piece right here. Quentin Grimes struggling a little bit defensively with Donovan Mitchell. Josh Hart picks him up. No problem. It is a team. It is a team in the truest sense of the word. And that is why again, to talk about this game and to talk about this season where the one reliable it's now down to Hartenstein, who's played every game because obviously Julius Randle didn't play today. But Julius Randle, with all due respect to Isaiah Hartenstein, who was hurting over the first several months of the season and as a result of that was not his usual self. But Julius Randle, for any faults he might have, that was their one reliable, right? That was the one guy you knew at the end of the day, okay, Julius is going to be there. We get down a little bit. You need a tough basket, throw it to Julius. He's a monster. Teams don't want to deal with that. We're going to talk a lot about what this offense looked tonight without Julius Randle. I'm sure I have a feeling that's going to be one of the big focuses, but to have that guy, again, who opposing defenses, maybe they feel differently in the last 5 minutes of a close game, but by and large, they don't want to deal with that. They don't want to wake up with those black and blues that he's going to leave you. So then, and he was the reliable. And for them to collectively pick each other up, team victory. And then you go back to, okay, team victory, but okay, well, all right, let's see here. 48 points, 9 rebounds, 1 turnover. I just looked it up on thanks to our friends at StatHead. Here are the players who have done that before in the 76-year history of the National Basketball Association. Michael Jordan did it twice. LeBron James did it actually earlier this season, a few months ago. Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic. Stop me, or Doncic hasn't won an MVP yet, but so far it's MVPs and the guy who's going to win an MVP one day. Devin Booker and Damian Lillard did it twice. That's the list. That's a list of players who have put up at least 48 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 or fewer turnovers in an NBA game. And you could take out only LeBron, Luka, Dame, and Michael Jordan before tonight did it in a win. And only Dame and Luka did it in a win on the road. Jalen Brunson could now add his name to that list. $55 million. They said no. It's too bad. It's too bad. Anyway, so amazing. I mean, just the shot making in the first half was incredible. And I'll just add, and I'm going to give a compliment to Donovan Mitchell here. And we're not going to get into, could you imagine if both of these guys were on the same team? Look, if Donovan Mitchell's a Knick, that means either Quentin Grimes or Emmanuel Quickley is not a Knick, to say nothing of RJ Barrett and several unprotected first-round picks and swaps. So, amazing. I mean, one of the top 10 shot makers in the league. I think if I had an MVP, not that I have a ballot, but if I had an MVP ballot, I would. It's funny. I did my All NBA earlier today for the Patreon pod. Shout out to all of our patrons with us right now. And I by a hair put SGA above Donovan Mitchell on first team for the guard spot. I think I would vote Mitchell in the 5th place for my MVP ballot. I think he deserves it. Guy was incredible. That's what made the first half so special. It wasn't only Julius going down and them needing a pick-me-up on the road in what is still a massive game because obviously you're trying to secure a playoff berth. But to have a guy that can go mano a mano. How many years have we as Knicks fans watched the other guy on the other team in the other uniform do it to us? And we just didn't have anybody who could do it back. Like Melo obviously is the one exception to that. And Melo, but at the same time, I don't know if I remember a ton of great one-on-one battles with Melo. I mean, he certainly put it on a lot of other teams. But that was it. That's the only guy that we had. And those teams were good for a few years, obviously. But to have a guy who could throw it right back at you, what a pleasure. And that dude, again, Jalen Brunson, is he ever going to, he's never going to win an MVP. He may never make an All-NBA team. He'll make some All-Star teams. I'll guarantee you that. But that dude, there is nobody in the league who he looks across the court at and says, "Oh man, that dude's just better than me tonight." Get the F out of here. Not Jalen Brunson. He doesn't know the meaning of backing down. And you know what? For all of his amazing, amazing shots that he made tonight, and we'll go through plays of the game in a little bit. Absolutely, if you want to define Jalen Brunson in one play, 2:09 left in the third quarter. Knicks trying desperately to hang on to this lead. Jalen Brunson's got a 40-piece. And what does he do? As I think it's Chetty Osman or someone barreling down the lane. Takes a charge, absolutely not gives up. Forget gives up his body, gives up his face, and gets absolutely clocked. I thought they could have reviewed that for a flagrant, and they didn't. That's what sort of character that Jalen Brunson brings to a team, to a locker room, and obviously onto the court. So, I mean, we'll talk about Jalen Brunson all night long. Really not to be outdone. And again, I'm just going to read his final stat line. Not that it makes a difference. Isaiah Hartenstein, here's what he ended up with. 5 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals. If ever there has been one of the it's funny, Breen said it about Josh Hart, who's another guy this applies to, obviously. The stats don't tell the story. If there was ever the stats don't tell the story sort of night about a guy, it's Isaiah Hartenstein tonight. I have a piece that was in the hopper that I was actually going to run today. I was going to run in today's newsletter that I pushed till next week because of the Randall injury, and I wanted to discuss that instead. It was about Isaiah Hartenstein and how it's funny. It's that he had this game tonight against this Cleveland team because it was against this Cleveland team that his resurgence really started. And again, for anybody who missed it, and Fred Katz, shout out to Fred Katz, he tucked it away in an article from whenever he got hacked out of his Twitter or whatever that was. And he wrote his, if I could tweet article. Isaiah Hartenstein said it. I can move now. He couldn't move in the beginning of the season. His Achilles was bothering him. And he never let up, he never let on to anyone that was what was going on. There were little murmurs and rumbles, never used it as an excuse, never said it out loud, and never, ever, ever sat out a game. There are now that Julius Randle didn't play tonight. You know how many players in the NBA have played every game that they're eligible to play in? 11. 11. And Isaiah Hartenstein is one of those guys, even though he was hurting for more than half the season. And we all wanted to run him out of town because we didn't know any better. This is what this guy could bring. And he's been the best center on the Knicks for a while now. And by the way, Mitchell Robinson, that's not a shot at Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson was good tonight. Mitchell Robinson was really good. But the way Isaiah Hartenstein's playing now and the extra dimension he gives you on offense, some of those passes, the pass to a cutting Josh Hart, the pass to a cutting Deuce McBride, what that does for an offense when you could throw it to your center, that's the thing. It was funny. People were like, oh, the Knicks got a stretch 5 in the offseason because he was 14 of 30 on threes or whatever it was. No. But there are different ways that you could space the floor. You could space the floor by just being a threat from 14, 16, 18 feet out. And he is absolutely a threat with the ball in his hands. And now we're finally starting to see the stuff that Clippers fans got very used to last year because he has, I think, part of it is maybe the offensive evolution of this team. And part of it is they got guys who fit his style. And he's healthy, like Josh Hart, big addition. Deuce McBride, we're starting to see that connection. Incredible night from Hartenstein. Just so many winning plays. Josh Hart, I mentioned already. Again, stat line doesn't tell the story. Took 4 shots, made 4 shots. By the way, one of the shots that he took, and he has one of these every close game that Josh Hart plays in. He has one of these shots. And tonight it was, hold on. I thought I wrote it down. Yes. The Knicks had gotten a nice little lead. They were ahead. Cleveland was making a push, and they had got the lead down to 3. And it felt like the moment, and this was early enough in the fourth quarter where it felt like Cleveland could still flip the game on its head, get out in front, and then, make life really tough for the Knicks down the stretch. And Hart hit a 3-pointer to make it 110-104. It is amazing his time. When has that dude missed a 3 that felt huge in the moment? He doesn't do it. He just, and 4 for 4 tonight. But again, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. He didn't log a steal or a block, and yet this is why steals and blocks are the stupidest way in the world to track a defensive player's impact on a game. That dude changed the game defensively with his defense on Donovan Mitchell. And it was a team defensive effort. Everybody pulled together. And by the way, again, just like I don't want to disparage Mitchell Robinson because he played a really good game, I don't want to disparage Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes was playing good defense on Donovan Mitchell early. Donovan Mitchell was just in MVP mode, which happens, I didn't even think the Knicks played that poor defense in the first half and even in the first quarter. That may sound crazy. Yeah, they gave up penetration, and maybe were over helping a little bit, but they did what they needed to do. So those are my 3 big guys that I wanted to highlight. But again, think about it, they scored 130 points tonight, and this was an off shooting night for Immanuel Quickley. 2 of 6 from deep, 5 of 16. A lot of those little floaters and mid-rangers that have been automatic for a while now weren't really going down tonight. He didn't really have it. It happens. still contributed to the win. Certainly, RJ Barrett didn't really have it tonight. He was 6 of 17. Made a couple. There were and I'm sure it'll come up. There was a moment between him and Obi Toppin on the bench where they had to be separated. I don't know what that was about. What I do want to go back and watch is there were 2 blown transition opportunities. I believe they were both at the start of the fourth quarter, and it felt like at the time like, oh my God, these are going to come back to bite us in the ass. I want to see was there a pass not made, either Obi to RJ to Obi or something, because obviously we've all seen the clips of RJ driving and taking bad shots and not kicking to an open top and in the corner. They've kind of rectified some of that stuff over the last, I think, a few weeks, but I don't know. I want to go back and rewatch. I don't know what that was about, but RJ didn't have a great shooting night, but found other ways to help the team. Did come down with 7 rebounds. That was important. He was a plus 10, so good job by him. But RJ and quickly, you figured, okay, I wrote it today. I'll pat myself on the back for nailing what the rotation was going to be in today's newsletter, where I was, and I wasn't off with where the shots would go, but I basically was like, Brunson's going to get probably a little bit more usage, and then the rest of the usage is going to be sopped up in some way, shape, or form by RJ, Quickly, and Grimes. And I wasn't necessarily wrong about that. RJ second on the team, 17 shots. Quickly third on the team, 16 shots. Grimes fourth on the team, 9 shots. None of those guys shot particularly well. Even Grimes was 4 of 9, 3 of 8 from deep. Okay, it was all right. He was the best of the group, but they managed to put up this amount of points without any of those guys really having great nights. Amazing. This again, team, capital T, team. Obi, Alan Hod, credit to him, said it a few times on the broadcast, come in and do what you're good at. And there were a couple of moments where it felt like maybe Obi, weird slip. Obi was maybe trying to do a little bit of a Julius Randle impersonation. He missed a bunny at the rim. He got blocked at the rim. And then it was just like, okay, let's get out in transition. Let's do what we do. A couple of those moments. Credit to Jalen Brunson, found him for an easy 2 when they keyed in on Brunson too much on it was just the 2 of them on the strong side. So look, he contributed positively in his 19 minutes. I wouldn't expect. It was funny. I wrote I responded to a KFS newsletter subscriber chat earlier today where I was like, Obi's not playing 25 minutes at all in any of these games down the stretch, right? I doubt it. I originally wrote 20, and I'm like, nah, that's too much. Let me write 25 minutes. Sure enough, plays 19 minutes tonight. Did I miss anybody? McBride. Deuce McBride. Really nice. Again, only 10 minutes. I expect that's going to be about what he plays moving forward. Make an impact in your minutes. That's what he did. That's what he does. Credit to him. And look, man, boys, girls, lady, anyone watching. I'm so pumped about this team. I'm so proud of this team. I know if you're watching this, you're pumped about this team and you're proud of this team. One more. Magic number is 1. The Nets, I'm pretty sure the Nets won tonight. They were kicking the snot out of the poor Atlanta Hawks. Yeah, 124-107. Thanks for putting up a fight, Atlanta. Whew. But if they had Quinn Snyder all season, that they'd be a top 4 seed, and Trae Young would be an MVP conversation. So the Nets are still coming. It's going to be, and by the way, the magic number being 1, that's to clinch a playoff spot. It is not to get the 5 seed. The magic number to get the 5 seed, I believe, is still 3. But they put themselves in a great position tonight. They won the hardest game they had left on the schedule. They now have 4 chances to win 3 games. Although the Pacers, I don't know how the Pacers did this tonight because they're sitting Halliburton. I don't even know what lineups they're playing. They beat an Oklahoma City team with SGA in the lineup. SGA scored 39 tonight. No Halliburton. This Pacers team, I guess they have no interest in tanking down the stretch. We faced them twice. They're going to fight in those games. The Pelicans are fighting for playing position. They're going to fight in that game. The Wizards lost tonight, but they're still, I think, going to be alive when we face them in a couple days. So I'm not celebrating playoffs yet. Not doing it yet. I'm not doing it yet. I'm not putting that jinx out there in the world. But man, Big step 2 nights ago against Miami. Bigger step tonight. Can't say enough about them. Absolutely cannot say enough about this team. All right. Let's do our personal injury report presented by our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum. If you think you may have a personal injury case, even if you're not sure, even if something happened, you're like, you know what? I just want to talk to somebody about this. I just want to get some answers. Call Weiss and Rosenblum today at 212-366-6100. We've been shouting them out on here. We've been a very, very proud partner with them for this entire time because Barry Weiss, great Knicks fan, better guy, even better attorney. So call them again, 212-366-6100. They will consult with you absolutely free of charge. If they take your case, they don't get paid unless you do. You could also visit them at weissandrosenblum.com for more information. Prior results don't guarantee future outcomes, but go with a veteran, not a rookie. Jalen Brunson, talk about young vets. So injury report. I haven't spoken on the Julius Randle injury because it happened. It happened the other day. I spoke on it after it happened. I haven't spoken on it since the news came down. Reevaluation in 2 weeks. I trust some of the Twitter doctors that I saw out there. Shout out. I know Andrew shouted them out on his pregame pod with the Cavs guys. So, and I apologize. I wish I should have tagged this tweet. Someone was a doctor, and I'm stealing this from someone on Twitter. I apologize. I'm not giving you credit. Reach out to me if this is you, and I'll find a way to make it up to you. But someone was basically like, it's going to be 2 weeks for the swelling to go down, and then you could actually see kind of how bad the injury really is. So the notion that it's a 2-week reevaluation, to me, doesn't, from what I can understand, doesn't really tell us much because we don't know the severity of the sprain. And there are people out there speculating, this could be 4 to 6 weeks. I think someone put out a timeline of like, it could be anywhere from 3 to 7 weeks. We just don't know. If you told me Julius, and it's not about I don't think it's a toughness issue. It's not like Julius Randle, if he could tough it out. It's like if he could be an effective basketball player versus if he cannot be an effective basketball player, to say nothing of the risk of re-injury. So like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, when Randle comes back, he comes back. I'm not going to say too much more about it. If you want to read more of my thoughts about Julius Randle's injury, shameless plug, Knicks Film School newsletter. You can subscribe on Substack. I kind of went through it there. What I will say briefly, though, and look, they put up 130 points tonight without Randle. Their defense settled down after the first quarter. They ended up shooting a completely crazy, unsustainable 47% from three. I get all that. Like, they're not going to shoot 47% from three in every game. There is, I think, a certain simplicity to their offense now without Randle, because with Randle and Jalen, you had two guys, essentially, who it's like, okay, this is how our offense runs through. And I said it during the halftime Zoom, and I'll say it again now. I wonder how much it helps the three-point shooters on this team to just know, like, okay, if we're open, like, we're just shooting it. Whereas I'm not saying that they didn't always have that mentality, but like Julius isn't there now. So it's like, if Jalen Brunson's going to do his thing, Jalen Brunson's going to do his thing. If Jalen Brunson kicks it out to you, or you get, it's a drive and a kick, or whatever the case may be, tonight, that was a team that was told, doesn't matter who you are, unless you're a center. If you have an open three-point shot, you're going to take it. And you know what? They did every time. And again, it's one game, so I don't want to draw too many conclusions, but there definitely was, there was a little bit more of a pace to the game without Randle. There was a little bit more movement. Now, the flip side of that point, here we go. Andrew Claudio to the rescue. It is Dr. Adam Bitterman. Shout out Dr. Adam Bitterman. He was the guy who was saying this on Twitter. So thank you, Dr. Bitterman. Go follow him. I've seen him on Twitter before. He's great. He has great information. There will be times, and it happened in the second half, where like the Knicks go through these little ruts, and where Jalen Brunson is not. No player in the NBA other than I don't know, maybe Giannis, but even Giannis, like there's no player in the NBA who doesn't go through stretches where he either needs a breather on offense or whatever. There's going to be stretches where it's going to be like, oh wait a minute, how are the Knicks getting a bucket? And like Quickly's emergence is a big part of that. He didn't really have it tonight, though. RJ had a couple moments, but like he's been inconsistent. So there will be moments where they will absolutely miss Julius Randle. A lot of moments potentially, especially on a night when Jalen Brunson doesn't have it. And like, look, he's human. There are times where he's not going to have it. And then they're going to miss Randle because you know what Randle has done this year? Made a lot of tough shots. Tough shot after tough shot after tough shot. And that's more than anything else. That's why he's going to make All-NBA second team, maybe third team. I have a funny feeling. I have a funny feeling it's going to be Butler and Brown on second team, and I have a feeling it's going to be Randle on third team. Which is, I mean, again, a massive accomplishment. But he's going to make that because he's just, I mean, his shot making this year, both behind the arc and inside the arc, has been incredible. And like when he puts his mind to it and he doesn't start taking silly shots, which again, he's largely cut out of his shot diet this year. Although Zach Lowe had an interesting piece on that topic this morning. Everybody should go read that. Like, you can't really stop Julius Randle because he's a human cinder block on wheels. He's a Mack truck. So without that release valve, there will be stretches where they have trouble scoring. With that acknowledged, there is a way that this offense can look better at times without him. And defensively, now with their pivot to we're just going to go small for 30 minutes a game. And again, I wrote about it today. I'm not worried about them facing size. As long as, other than on the offensive glass, and I'll be curious to see how much Cleveland really leans into trying to kill the Knicks on the offensive boards if and when the series happens. That's the biggest concern. But again, it helps to have a guy like Josh Hart, who is one of the best offensive rebounding guards in the game. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I thought first look out of the gate, looked pretty good. Okay, that's your personal injury report. Again, presented by Weiss of Rosenblum. Moment of the game. Boy, do we have some candidates. So the Brunson 3. So Cleveland was making their initial little push. The Brunson 3 that made it 123-111 with 4:20 left. I think that's going to be a candidate. I'm going to do, there was an Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, there was so many great Isaiah Hartenstein plays down the stretch of this game. I'm going to go with the Isaiah Hartenstein block of, who did he block? I believe it was in transition. Lamar Stevens, where it looked like Stevens had an easy shot, and Isaiah Hartenstein blocked him to maintain a 120-107 advantage for the moment, at least. That was with 6:10 left in the quarter, or in the fourth quarter. And then let's do, there was a couple of deuce plays. Should we give the other one to should we do another Hartenstein one? If we do another Hartenstein one, it's his pass to a cutting Deuce McBride to make it 115-104. Now, you know what? Listen, this was Jalen Brunson's night. Let's give him the one that got him 48 points and essentially was the dagger. It was the final dagger, made it 128-116, game over. So we got 2 Jalen Brunson threes, and then the Isaiah Hartenstein block. I feel bad I didn't put the Brunson taking a charge. That's all right. I shouted out Brunson taking a charge. The 2 Brunson threes, the dagger, and the one that like kind of stopped Cleveland's momentum, and then the Hartenstein block. Those are your 3 candidates for moment of the game. On that note, I'm ready to hear from some excited Knicks fans. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear and see, and read, and feel all of the feelings that come with this win. This fucking team, man. Incredible. Sergio Acosta starts us off. Hello, Sergio Acosta. Hold the whiskey until the second round. Am I crazy when I say I like the team without Randall? I had a funny feeling might be the tenor of tonight. I hope this isn't too much of the tenor of tonight. And again, Sergio, everybody watching, you could be the biggest Randall fan in the world. I think everybody watching it is maybe wondering it in the back of their mind. I want to keep the positive energy, but let's keep it going. He's our guy, and he's an all-star. Good job by you throwing that in there. But I wanted to cash out 2 years ago. Anyway, KFS. We already exceeded expectations. Yeah, I look, if this team gets the 5 seed and this team plays like, let's, look, I who knows what's going to happen against Cleveland if they face Cleveland. That's a good basketball team. And again, we didn't have Jalen Brunson we didn't have Julius Randle. They didn't have Jared Allen tonight. They also didn't have Isaac Okoro. Now, taking both of those guys out of the lineup helps your spacing a lot. And Cleveland made 8,000 threes tonight. So you could say that there was a little bit like for us, we didn't have Randall. There's a drop off, but there's also some other benefits. Same thing with Cleveland. They didn't have Allen and Okoro. It helps their spacing. It helps their shooting. But like that team's freaking good. They're going to finish the season probably with the second best net rating in the league. You could argue that they're one of the 4 or 5 best teams in basketball, 5, 6 best teams in basketball. It's going to be a hell of a series if that's who we face. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. As far as Randall, I don't want to get into like, should this team look to we'll talk about the summer when the summer comes. I'll give Robert Cross that much. Sergio, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Robert, speaking of the devil, Robert Cross. It's your boy, John. I love this team. GMAC and I agree that there is now officially no talk about the S word until after the final Knicks playoff game. #53 wins. Oh, look, there's video of Obi Toppin in the locker room with RJ Barrett. MSG Network. Good job by you. Making sure you get that on. Obi's got some fancy sunglasses on. I would like a pair of those sunglasses. Good job, Greg, setting that one up. I'm sure they're fine. I'm not worried about the RJ Obi thing. Yeah, no talk about the summer until the summer comes. I'll give you that. Home stretch. It's home stretch time. Let's do it. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. Can we open up the Jalen Brunson superstar discussion? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. #53 wins. Robert, where you been? Where you been, man? Where you been sleeping during the post games? We've been having that discussion. Like, superstars obviously come in all shapes and sizes. What makes a superstar? Okay, a superstar is someone that can get their own shot anytime they want by NBA typical NBA standards, right? Superstar is someone that can get their shot whenever they want and make them a good percentage of the time. And here's the final hurdle to being a true superstar. Even though as as the player that you could make the shot more often than not, you're still going to make the right pass and the right play and the extra play and the winning play. You're going to take the charge. You're going to make the extra rotation. You're going to give everything you have on defense. All of that combined with the shot making, combined with the unselfishness, combined with the leadership, that's why Jalen Brunson's a superstar. And look, I once said in front of a microphone that the superstar is someone that could be the best player on a championship team. I don't know that Jalen Brunson could be the best player on a championship team, but I think he might be able to be the most important. I mean, why would we put ceilings on this player? Who's, by the way, who's in his 5th year, who's still young? Why would we put a ceiling on him? So yeah, any flowers for Jalen Brunson you want to throw tonight? I'm here for it. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you as always, man. Jesse M. 3 days ago, fans wanted Jalen Brunson benched. Now, listen, as Andrew Claudio always says, fan is short for fanatic. People live in the moment sometimes. I mean, that was silly, that was obviously silly, but yeah, Jalen Brunson's a pretty good basketball player. Thanks, Jesse. Ryan Huang. Oh, I just noticed there's a big tanking game going on tonight. Pistons Rockets. 113-108. This would be, if Rockets win this game, this would be big for Detroit's lottery position. Ryan, knew this one would be a banger when they put Han on the cast instead of Redacted 2. Is that what we're calling him now? Oh, my God. Oh, 3 words. Him. Donovan Mitchell. Must-see TV. Hashtag Brunson burner. I like Brunson burner. He was on a Brunson burner tonight. That was for sure. And yeah, I like Han on the telecast. You know what I liked? Han, oh my God, they were talking about, was it Jethro Tull, I think? Some band on the telecast. And they brought up Aqualung. And Alan, I was like, needed an iron lung in this game because at the time it was very high scoring. Oh man, yeah, that was a good line. I love Alan Hahn. He does a great job, and shout out to him, obviously. Thank you, Ryan. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. Can we all agree the Knicks are better than the Cavs now? Mensa and I do. Hashtag 53 wins. Well, I don't want to disagree with Mensa. Mensa knows what he's talking about, and Mensa commands authority, which is, I never want to disagree with Mensa. I always feel like when Mensa speaks, it's like, man, I feel like I might want to disagree with this, but he just sounds so confident. Shout out to Mensa, the whole Casual Friday crew. I just started the pod that they dropped today. I'm going to finish it tomorrow, but they've been killing it. And get well soon, Andrew Claudio, also. It's not the same without you. And shout out to APJP producing tonight. Anyway, are the Knicks better than the Cavs? I'll repeat what several people have said, including some people on the halftime Zoom. I don't know if they're better. They don't, but they're not afraid of the Cavs. They're just not. I think, it's funny, and like the Cavs are, and this is a longer discussion for a different day. I think the Cavs are a great are a great example of why it's not always about how much talent you have. It's about how the talent fits. And Evan Mobley is a guy who has, drawn like Kevin Garnett comparisons since the day he was drafted. And you could see it when that dude gets the ball. He has real skill. To say nothing of Jared Allen. Jared Allen's another guy. He has absolutely real skill for a center when he gets the ball. Evan Mobley took 8 shots tonight. He was 6 of 8 from the field. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Played 41 minutes. Because that's not his role on this team. And you know what? Maybe that's probably for the best, because Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, one is a guy who's going to probably be the fifth or sixth place MVP finisher, and another is a guy who was an all-star last year and could probably had an argument to be an all-star again. So but building a team where everybody's strengths are being utilized to the fullest degree is hard. And I think that's part of the reason why there was a very valid argument why, for as great as Donovan Mitchell is, that maybe it wasn't the right move for the Knicks to get him this summer. And I think what you see with the Knicks, and this bleeds into the Randall discussion, is they are really, really, really well put together in terms of I'm not going to say everybody's talent is being maximized. Obi Toppin is a good example. He would be better in a different kind of system. Isaiah Hartenstein, people have been yelling and screaming all year. Let this guy be the guy he was with the Clippers last year. We're finally starting to see some of that now. But you got him. You could even make a case about, you want to make a case about RJ, if you want to make a case about Grimes. But for the most part, they feel like a team that is really getting the most out of what they have. And that's tough. And for that reason, I think they might be a better team than Cleveland, even if Cleveland has more talent. And I do, and again, it's not that the talent doesn't fit together well. Are they maximizing that talent? I don't know. I think it'll be a great series. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you as always, man. Dan Hidalgo. I live in Cleveland. I'm sorry for your loss. Got to see the good guys get the win live. It looks like I might just get the chance to see some Knicks playoff basketball this season. I'm like a little kid on Christmas. Let's go Knicks. I kid. Cleveland's a great city. I dated a girl for 2 years in college that lived in Cleveland. So I have done the New York to Cleveland round trip drive more times than I care to admit. It's a lovely little city. And I actually drove there. This is how crazy I am. When the Knicks traded for Stephon Marbury, I drove to Cleveland to see his first game as a Knick playing a young LeBron James. I think LeBron was a rookie that season. He was either a rookie or second-year player. I forget. I think he was a rookie. But yeah, so I hope for your sake that you get to see the Knicks in person play the Cavs in the playoffs. And I hope there's I hope there's a decent amount of Knicks fans. It looked like there was some Knicks fans in the crowd. Again, it's not a crazy drive. It's a 7-hour drive. It's just a boring drive. I mean, it's 4 hours in Pennsylvania and there's nothing. Just nothing that whole time. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you. Dan Hidalgo with another one. Also, iHeart is a way better passer live. I thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, and I'm glad you said it because the passes I'm sure seeing it, you get an appreciation for like the needles that he is threading with these passes. And I looked it up today. From the second game of the season, because he played like 40 minutes in the opener against Memphis, and I think he had a few assists in that game. From game 2 through game 48, so the game right before the Cleveland game, he was averaging in like 17 point something minutes, 18 minutes or whereabouts. Or maybe it was actually less minutes. Maybe it was like 15, whatever. He was averaging 0.6 assists per game, which is insane when you consider this player. Since then, and he's played a few more minutes, not a crazy amount more minutes, but a few more minutes since then. Since game 49, 1.8 assists per game. So he has tripled his assists per game since he has turned his season around, which again, 1.8 is not a lot, but when you consider how the Knicks offense is run and they don't run their offense traditionally through the centers, now with Julius out, I wonder if this is something they're really going to turn to more. And I think, and Benji and me were texting about it earlier today, the notion of Hartenstein playing more minutes. Played 10 more minutes than Mitchell Robinson in the last game. He played 4 more minutes than Mitchell Robinson in this game. I think we're going to keep seeing Isaiah Hartenstein be the guy who they play more than Mitch most of the time. And again, that's not a slight on Mitch. Mitch is awesome, but Hartenstein's just better right now. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it again. Alex, what's going on, Alex? We have to push another game out of the top 10 wins. Man, I'm going to go on so many little diatribes tonight because what was I doing today? I had a little bit of time to spare, so I started working on my top 10, and I decided I'm not going to make it top 10 wins. And this may be a controversial thing that I do. I decided I'm going to make it top 10, and I may go top 15 actually. Top 10 games in terms of impact on this season, like the top 10 games that we will remember from this season. So there's going to be some losses in there, which is why I may need to go past top 10. How do you not put this on the list? Like, it has to be on there. Absolutely has to be on there. And you could argue that this supersedes the Julius 57-point game because 1, they got a win out of it. 2, this was on the road. 3, this was against a better team. And 4, it was a one-on-one matchup, to say nothing of the other stuff that made this game special. First game after Julius. I don't know if it's one of the top 5 games of the year. It's in contention. This was an impressive win. Let's take a step back. The Cavs scored more points in the first quarter than they had scored in any quarter in their history as a franchise. And instead of backing down and backing away like so many teams would after they just lost their all-star, the Knicks were like, that's the best you got? Bring it on. And they went out and they stomped on their face for the rest of the game. Think about it. That was a 20-point turnaround. They won this game by 14 points, and they were down by 8, I believe, in the first quarter. So 22-point turnaround. Good basketball team. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you as always, man. Ryan, best win of the season, right on cue. Ryan says it's the best of the season. Oh man, I don't know. I that double overtime game. I don't even know if this was the double overtime game against Boston. I don't even know if this was the best win against the Cavs this season. That's how crazy this is. The season has been so nuts. Oh man, I might have been the Heat or one of the Heat games, one of the Cavs. It's got to be one of the Heat games, one of the Cavs games, or one of the Celtics games. Has to be. One of those has to be the best win of the season. With all due respect to the Evan Fournier game against the Sixers, and with all due respect to the Denver game, and the Denver game is a big freaking win. I think the best win of the season, the best win of the season, has to be against one of those three teams. Has to be, because rivalry, because situation, all kinds of things. I don't know. This might be. Thanks, Ryan. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. Is it theoretically possible that the Knicks may be a better team than the NBA realizes? Yes. I tweaked this MSG some. I tweaked this message some. Hashtag 53 wins. You know, I shouted out Zach Lowe before. I'm gonna give him some crap. On the podcast today, that Zach dropped, talking about Boston chasing Milwaukee after their big win last night for the number 1 seed. And he was saying, you know, with all due respect to the Cavs, facing the Sixers in the second round is a different animal. And he did not say, with all due respect to the Cavs or the Knicks. If he said, with all due respect to the Cavs or the Knicks, facing Philly is a different animal, I would have been okay with that. But it was just like, with all due respect to the Cavs, you know, and this was right after the Randall injury, so whatever. You know, I love Zach, obviously. I'm screwing around. I'll give him a pass. But I do think to some extent the NBA, especially after the Randall injury, is maybe sleeping on what this Knicks team has built. And again, I get it. I get it because the defense has not been there this year, statistically at least. Although I still think this team has a big-time defensive ceiling. And I think you saw that tonight. I think you saw it the other night against Miami. I think you saw it in the game against Denver. And I think you saw it a little bit tonight. I mean, Cleveland scored 116 points. Cavs only scored 44 points in the second half. How about this? Cavs, over the last 3 quarters tonight, only scored 44, 54, 64, 69 points. 69 points over the last 3 quarters Cleveland scored. Like, I still believe in this team's defensive ceiling. Offensively, I think is where the loss of Randall at times is going to hurt them a lot. Can they continue to overcome it with 3-point shooting, with Jalen Brunson being, as you call him, a superstar, and with Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and maybe a little bit of Quentin Grimes stepping up into bigger roles than they're accustomed to? We've seen Quickley do it. We've seen RJ do it. Maybe not as much this season, but we've seen RJ do it. And we've kind of seen Grimes do it recently. That's going to be if they could do that, then yeah, this team is absolutely better than the NBA realizes. Thanks, Robert, as always. Haitian Farg, what's going on, Haitian? Cleveland doesn't want this smoke. No, they don't. Tibbs got backed into a corner and unleashed the dogs. Who said he can't adjust? Shot for shot in the first half, defense second half. Put some respect on the damn Knicks. I love how you always shout out the coach. You're the one guy who consistently does it. I appreciate it. To me, like, everything we saw tonight in terms of the rotations, in terms of who started, in terms of who closed halves, in terms of how they're playing, in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. Like, you know, to me, it's not about playing perfectly. Like, you're not always going to execute perfectly. Obviously, you're not always going to execute perfectly. Shots aren't always going to go down. You may overhelp this or that, but like, Find me a possession that isn't a well-planned possession on either end of the floor. How many shots did the Knicks take tonight that were bad shots? Or point me to the offensive possession where you're like, man, what the hell are they doing there? What are they trying to get out of this? Like, there's always going to be poor offensive possessions for sure. But everything they do is so well thought out and purposeful and attempts. Man, Macau had 42 tonight. Jesus. Attempts to play to their strengths. And then defensively, it's like, yeah, again, you're helping off maybe too much here and there, and it's going to yield some open threes. It's playing the odds. It's playing the odds that at the end of the day, a team is not going to shoot all that much more than 40% from three. And you're going to take away what a team wants to do. And what this team wants to do is they want to get, obviously they'd like to shoot open threes from Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, but those guys also want to penetrate, and get the ball to their bigs and the whole thing. And that's what the defense is designed to take away. Are you going to give up the occasional open three to the Lamar Stevens and the Chetty Osmonds of the world? Yeah, you are. And you know what? If that's how you wind up losing a playoff series, you tip your cap. It's the NBA in 2023. You can't take away everything. And I appreciate what they are attempting to do defensively. And I think, as you note, they are a well-coached team with a coach who could adjust. Thanks, Haitian, as always. Appreciate you, man. Roger Fortune, what's going on, Roger? I wish I could watch the stream tonight, but Brunson is that guy, and the hearts on this team have stolen my heart. What a win. Great win. Amazing win. They've stolen all of our hearts. What additions? And I alluded to it at the top. I'll say it again in more explicitly. The front office. Yeah, I mean, I'm always the one to praise the coach. The front office, man. They went out and look, say whatever you want about how they got Jalen Brunson. They got Jalen Brunson. And they got him on what now looks like one of the best bargain contracts in the NBA. Went out and got Isaiah Hartenstein, signed them both this summer. Went out and drafted with the 25th pick 2 years in a row, Emmanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes. Jericho Sims with the 58th pick. Deuce McBride with the 36th pick. Traded for Josh Hart. Traded what's going to wind up being the 20. What is the Knicks pick going to wind up being? That's a good question. As of right now, the Knicks pick would wind up being the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be the 23rd pick in the draft. Yeah. I'd say it's a pretty good deal. Yeah, so for Josh Hart and maybe the biggest move of all, didn't trade Julius Randle when his value is at his lowest. So shout out to them for that. Thanks, Roger. Appreciate you. Hannibal Miles, how do you go from the worst to the best backup center in the league? Hashtag iHeart. You get healthy. I'll steal iHeart, what he said. I can move now. That's all it is. He's healthy. Pretty good. Pretty good player. And we got him next year, too, on a pretty good, decent contract. Kind of wish we signed him to a 3-year deal, I'll be honest. Thanks, Hannibal. Robert Cross with another one. Robert is on fire tonight, as I knew he would be. It's your boy, John. I am fairly confident the Knicks will beat Boston or the 76ers to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Do you think it's premature to be looking at the Bucks? Hashtag 53 wins. Robert, perhaps someone needs to tell you how NBA seeding works. So the Knicks are in the 5 seed. If you believe that the Knicks are going to remain in the 5 seed and you believe the Knicks are going to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round, they will be facing the Milwaukee Bucks in all likelihood in the second round. And that is because and if you want to go listen to Zach and who did he have on today? Kirk Goldsberry does great work. They talked about it a little bit. So the Bucks as of right now, so Boston is a game and a half back because Boston won tonight. Who did Boston beat? Boston beat Utah. So Boston beat Utah tonight. They're a game and a half back on Milwaukee. Milwaukee has the tiebreaker against Boston. Now, that is important. However, here are their games that they have remaining. Versus Philly on Sunday. Tough game. At Washington. Not looking great if you want a Bucks loss. Versus Chicago. That's an ESPN game. Versus Memphis. Tough game, depending on if Memphis is playing to win. And then they finish the season at Toronto. That game at the end of the season against Toronto could potentially be a massive game. And again, other than maybe the Wizards game and maybe the Bulls game, the Bucks could certainly lose to Philly. They could lose to Memphis. They could lose to Toronto. If the Celtics tie them, the Celtics finish with the tiebreaker. So let's just say, for argument's sake, the Bucks go 3-2 in their last 5. In that scenario, if they go 3-2, I want to make sure I get this right. I believe. Well, let's see here. So let me go through this first. So this is who the Celtics have left. Celtics at Philly, Toronto, Atlanta. So the Celtics don't have a bargain schedule either. The point is, if these two teams finish tied, the Celtics get the tiebreaker. But for the Celtics to finish tied with the Bucks, like let's say the Celtics go 3-1 in those 4 games, which is probably about the best they're going to do to finish with 57 wins. The Bucks would need to go 57 wins. Yeah, the Bucks would need to go 3-2 to finish ahead. So if the Bucks go 3-2, the Celtics would need to go undefeated for the rest of the season to get ahead of Milwaukee. So the likelihood is that Milwaukee's going to be your 1 seed, and the Knicks are going to wind up facing the Bucks in the first round, in the second round, if they get there. Not counting any chickens. We still got to get the 5 seed, Robert. Talk about counting chickens before they're hatched. Jesus. That's tough. Can Boston go undefeated? No, wait a minute. Hold on. I misspoke. If Boston gets to 57, they go 3-1. Yeah, Milwaukee needs to get. They need to get to 58. So, but they could go 3-2. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you. Kevin Danishevsky. What's going on, Kev? That might have been the best game I've seen a Knicks center play since Tyson Chandler. Isaiah Hartenstein was unreal, not to be outdone by Jalen Brunson. 2 free throws away from 50 playoffs. When he missed those free throws, that's all I was like, oh my God, please win the game. So we don't have to talk about the free throws on the post game. But yes, 2 free throws away from 50. Best game seen a Knicks center play. No, Mitch has had some bangers. Like Mitchell Robinson has had games where he looks like he's the best defensive center in the NBA. Now, Hartenstein is probably going to be the best defensive player in the defensive center in the NBA that plays tonight. Was it the best performance by a Knicks center this season? I would really have to go back and look at it. Was certainly, I think, Hartenstein's best game of the season. I would have to go back and look and see if Mitch has played a better game. It's in the conversation, though, I feel like. That's an interesting one, Kev. That's interesting. Appreciate you as always, man. Anthony Sixto. I love this team. Every setback they experience, they've turned into an opportunity for growth. That's the story of the team. That is why tonight, if you're a person who likes themes, the Knicks overcoming adversity. That is the theme of this season. And has there been a better example of that theme than tonight with this win? There's your argument for this being the win of the year. And that's honestly your argument for this being the best Knicks team this century. So we got 4 games left. Knicks have, what do they have now? They have 45 wins, man. 12 games over 500. 3-game winning streak. I'm already worried about Sunday. I'll say this though about this team. For as much as they overcome adversity, it's amazing when they have these wins where you're and then they get on these little stretches where you're like, man, this team's the greatest thing since sliced bread. When we get to that like euphoric crescendo level, oftentimes they lose the next game. And again, Washington's not out of it yet, even though they lost tonight. They're 3 games back of the Bulls, who won. So Washington essentially needs to win out. I don't believe I think they didn't play Beal or Kuzma tonight. We'll see if they play those guys in 2 days. Whatever. I'm getting ahead of myself. So they could wind up with 49 wins. If I had to bet on it right now, I'd probably bet that they wind up with 48 wins. Which means that we got the 5 seed. But I really do think that that's your argument for this being the best Knicks team, even though they're going to finish whatever 5 or 6 wins short of or 4 wins short, whatever, of the 2012-13 team. This team has been inspirational. They've been inspirational. This is the best word I could use. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it, man. Deadward 604. I wouldn't be shocked if Donovan Mitchell requests a trade to the Knicks in the offseason just so that Jalen Brunson can no longer haunt his dreams. No, that's not going to happen. I know you're being facetious, but yeah, look, the Cavs, man, I don't think I gave enough credit to this when me and Andrew recorded the Patreon pod on which teams have the most pressure on them, or which players have the most pressure on them heading into the season, the postseason. If the Cavs lose to the Knicks, that will be a tough pill for the Cavs to swallow, just because they don't have any obvious improvement mechanisms, because they've traded away all their assets, unless they want to do something crazy like put Garland on the table or Allen on the table, which, I don't know what that could get you. Or you want to start to turn this thing more over to Evan Mobley. But again, that's what I talked about before. If you turn more of it over to Evan Mobley, then that means someone else's mouth isn't getting fed as much. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Mitchell does. He's a free agent 2 years from now. We'll see. 7 Knicks in double figures tonight. That's awesome. That's really cool. Robert Cross with another one. Madman Robert Cross. First time, long time, John, as you exited, or are you excited as I am to watch Big Thread Ben unpack this game tomorrow? Hashtag 53 wins. My favorite moments of every week when there's a big Friday night win are the first Benji text on Saturday at around, what is it, Saturday at sundown? Or Saturday, is there a certain time? I don't really know. I should probably figure that out. But yeah, his first tweet. I wonder what it's going to be tomorrow. That's going to be great. Thanks, Robert. I may have to write a newsletter tonight. Shit. Carolina Knicks fan. You're telling me that Donovan scored 40, the Cavs had over 100 points. We're missing our second star player, and we still won this fucking team. Hashtag Jalen Brunson. Hashtag let's go Knicks. Can't really add anything to that. This team, here, I will add something to that. This team could win in different ways. And that is another reason why they are a dangerous team in the playoffs. They can take whatever kind of game that you want to play. They can play that game. And again, they may not always come out on top, but it's not like, oh, the Knicks want to slow it down. No, they don't. You could. Yep. You want to play fast? Again, they want to dance. Let's dance, motherfucker. They could play fast. They could play slow. They could grind it out. They could play multiple styles within games. they have the ability with the different lineups that they throw out there to completely change the complexion of a game. Like this game, the first quarter of this game featured more points scored than in any game in the NBA this season. Right? Literally more scoring than in any game this season. And then between the same two teams, this thing turned into a grind fest, giving up 16 points to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the fourth quarter. And you know why? Because who did the Knicks start the fourth quarter with on the floor? Deuce McBride and Josh Hart and Emmanuel Quickley. And RJ Barrett was playing some defense, or either him or Quentin Grimes. And Isaiah Hartenstein doing Isaiah Hartenstein things on defense. Good luck scoring against that team. They could switch it up on you, and they're comfortable doing it. So they don't get unnerved. They God knows it hasn't happened maybe in a while, but you get them down big, they'll still come back. It's a great team, man. It's a great team. Thank you, Carolina Knicks fan. Sam Garcia, what's going on, Sam? What's going on to the whole Garcia clan? Jalen Brunson versus Donovan Mitchell is round one. Is going to be like watching John Cena versus The Rock at WrestleMania 28 once in a lifetime. Okay, here's what I'll say. I know who those two people are. I know John Cena. I see him in commercials now. I think he was in a commercial with a cow or something. I obviously know who The Rock is. The last WrestleMania I watched, I'm pretty sure featured, oh man, let me see if I could name 5 different people in the last WrestleMania I watched. Probably featured The Undertaker. Probably featured Bret the Hitman Hart. I think it featured Ric Flair. Might have featured Hulk Hogan. Can I name one more guy? The Ultimate Warrior. There it is. The Ultimate Warrior. And that's all I got. That's the last time I watched WrestleMania. So I don't know how long ago that was. If anybody wants to fact check, when's the last time those 5 guys were in the same WrestleMania? Yeah. Good reference, though. Appreciate you. CT Pittman, what a freaking game. Yes, absolutely, man. This team is just, it's amazing. Can I just say, in your honor, the eternal MVP of the postgame, CT Pittman. It is amazing to me that this team that through 23 games, talking about doing a top 10 games list, top 15 games list in terms of most impactful games. I was thinking about it before. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be number 1, but there is an argument that the Mavs game, the first Mavs game on December 3rd, should be the number one on that list. Because when I think back to this season, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, I got to be honest with you, I'm probably going to think about that December 3rd Mavs game first above any of these wins. Because that was the game. It felt like that game broke them. It felt like Tibbs was getting fired. Maybe Leon Rose was on his way out the door after that. They were going to trade everybody, this, that, and the other thing. Maybe pivot into a tank, start the Johnny Bryan era, this, that, and the other thing. Through 23 games, they had some good wins in that span. The West Coast trip, a couple other ones. The Philly game where it was fan fiction for the fourth quarter, right? With the Randall Obi lineup. They had some good wins, but that first 23 games was such a miserable experience to the point that even a month and a half later, the negativity from that early season start was still so it was so powerful, and it had permeated so deep that after that Lakers game, that Laker loss in overtime, which was again a month and a half after that first Dallas game, I sat on here and I was getting super chats, fire Tibbs, trade Randall, blow this team up, because that's how much negativity there was through the first 23 games, which is almost a third of the season. Hold Hold on. Andrew just texted me. You don't see John Cena in commercials. You can't see him. And then there's a GIF of John Cena waving his hand in front of his face. And he's wearing like a green shirt. But it's a cartoon. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, yeah. So they flipped the season on its head. Incredible year. Just an incredible year. No other year like it that I could remember in watching professional sports, for sure. Thanks, CT. Appreciate you as always, man. BNY98. What a team win. I love the Knicks offense without Randall. They're so much fun. They move the ball and they play fast. Brunson is so good. Heart was huge. They moved. I mean, I got a little pushback on the halftime because I was like, I said the same thing that you said. A lot of ball movement, guys moving, ball moves, passes, yada, yada, yada. And then shout out Mr. Crockett, my friend, was like, well, the respect, like there was a lot of dribbling by Brunson. Like every NBA team needs to create advantages. Like you can't just like passing alone is not going to get you anywhere. You have to have somebody that creates the advantage. For the Knicks, a Knicks team without Julius Randle, the only real way that they're going to create an advantage is with Jalen Brunson doing Jalen Brunson things, which involves a lot of dribbling. Because like, love RJ Barrett, I love Emmanuel Quickley. Those guys are not really advantage creators. Like even Quickley through his emergence, Quickley is like he's crafty in a kind of a poor man's Brunson way, and he could. I'm not gonna say he can't create. He obviously can create advantages, but I feel like the way Brunson creates advantages is a little bit more advanced at this point. And the difference is that if you give Brunson the ball and Brunson dribbles a lot, he's either getting a good shot or you're getting a good look from somebody else because he's that skilled. Quickley is not at the point where like that always happens yet. It happens a lot though. So yeah. Thank you for the comment and the contribution. Danny Gardner, Brunson, and that fourth quarter defense is lethal. I like this team playing small. It's a look. What is this now? Hold on. Andrew texted me again. You can't see me is John Cena's catchphrase. Well, but I can see him. I'm looking at him. That's a stupid catchphrase. Thanks, Danny. Yeah, Brunson plus defense equals wins, apparently. They were really getting after it on defense. Jesse D, what's going on, Jesse? So happy for Hartenstein. Took so much shit from us as fans early on and has completely reinvented himself and more. So glad we got him. I'm going to push back on that. I don't think he's reinvented himself at all. I think he's healthy and he's going back to being the guy he was with the Clippers last year, which is why the Knicks gave a backup center $15 million over 2 years, or $17 million over 2 years. Excuse me. Yeah, and I still don't think we've fully unleashed the Hartenstein, at least on offense. I think there's still more meat on the bone, which is really exciting because he's a man. He's a really gifted player. He's a really gifted passer. And also credit to him, he's doing more passing and he's really not turning the ball over. I want to actually pull up his game log, but let's go to the next super chat. Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate it. Dom the Dentist, we found our death lineup. Let's freaking go. Death lineup. So what is the death lineup? The death lineup is Brunson, Quickley, Grimes. Was it Grimes out there? I think Grimes out there. Brunson, Quickley, Grimes, Hartenstein. I mean, look, the death lineup. Well, there was the death lineup before KD even got there, but the original death lineup, right, was what? It was Curry, Clay, Draymond. What was it? Iggy. Oh my God, who was the other guy? Iggy and Barnes, I guess. Andrew, help me out here. I think it was Iggy and Barnes. because you just, it was shooting, it was defense. Steph was the only guy you could target on defense, and he held his own. You could switch everything, and Draymond obviously doing Draymond things, and then you get the because Steph is so crazy, you got Draymond going 4-on-3, and he would make the right pass, make the right play, make the right floater, make whatever. With this lineup, with Jalen Brunson being this good offensively, if they put 2 on the ball with Jalen Brunson, the key is Jalen Brunson, and we've criticized Randall for this, but Jalen Brunson sometimes could maybe do a little bit better job of this too. As long as Jalen Brunson gets off the ball quick, you have anyone he gets the ball to, whether it's Hart, whether it's Quickly, whether it's Grimes, or if it's RJ in place of Grimes or RJ in place of somebody else. All 4 of those guys can certainly put the ball on the floor, can certainly drive, can certainly finish. And with Hartenstein out there, obviously, I talked about Hartenstein's ability to impact the game offensively and obviously defensively. The one caveat there is the shooting. And do you feel confident? I mean, you feel confident with the ball coming off of Grimes' hands. You feel confident with the ball coming off of Quickly's hands. And like between, all the big shots he said, at least as a Knick, you feel confident with the ball coming off Hart's hands. All of those guys are susceptible to going through slumps. Like you wish you had, I mean, like you wish you had a Klay Thompson, right? A guy who it's like, if he's open, he's making it, whatever, 8 times out of 10 or something, if he's wide open. You don't have that guy. Grimes is really getting close. You just wish you had a little bit more shooting, and obviously, Steph was the broke basketball with his offense. But yeah, no, I hear you. By the way, Hartenstein turnovers the last few games. Tonight, did he have a turnover tonight? I'll look that up in a second. But the last bunch of games, 1 turnover, no turnovers. 3 turnovers 4 games ago. Before that, 1, 2, and then before that, 4 straight games, no turnovers. So really good stuff from Hartenstein. Thanks, Tom, by the way. Hartenstein, no turnovers tonight. Helmer Pacheco, what's going on, Helmer? Thank you for the very generous contribution. We got a little negativity here. I'm worried about RJ. His head is not in the right place, and his reaction to Brunson's 3 under 2 minutes in the 4th was weird. I didn't notice it, but now you're going to make me want to go back and watch. I kind of want to pull it up right now. I've never done this before. Pull up a clip with doing a live stream. So why don't we do this? I don't think anybody will mind. It'll take me 2 seconds. So the exact play you're talking about, for anyone who may not know, was 4th quarter, Brunson 3, putting the Knicks with 2:18 left, putting the Knicks up 128-116, and so on the play, well, RJ was not on the court. I see what you're saying. So they show a shot of the bench. Deuce gets up. Trevor Keels gets up. Fournier puts up like a 3 sign. Mitchell Robinson's not really doing anything either. RJ's like nodding his head. Look, here's what I have to say about that. RJ Barrett, since he was 13 years old, 14 years old, has been conditioned to believe that you are a star. He was the number 1 player in his class for a few years going into college. He was ahead of Zion until Zion passed him early on in that Duke year. He was the number 3 pick in the draft. Last season, gave an interview early in the year in which he talked about, I'm a star. I believe I'm a star. I think of myself as a star. And then over the last 3.5 months of last season, 30 usage rate or whereabouts, averaging 24 a game. Like, RJ Barrett thinks of himself as a guy who is destined through hard work, to be clear, through hard work and effort to be a star in the NBA. So for RJ Barrett to be on the bench at the end of that game, especially after RJ Barrett played the entire fourth quarter 2 nights ago in what we were saying then was maybe the best Knick win of the year. And RJ's contributions, by the way, in that fourth quarter and in that second half after a really rough first half. It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough. He's got to be sitting there, and there does have to be a part of him that is seething. Now, Jalen Brunson talked about as All-Star, All-NBA. I've talked about him as an MVP candidate. Most important player on this team. He was on the bench last game. And Knicks hit big shots. And who's up, raising their hands, cheering the loudest? It's Jalen Brunson. And again, that's the little bit of extra maturity. That's the little bit of extra leadership. That's not easy. RJ Barrett's 22. God, if people found out some of the shit that I did when I was 22. And again, it's different. Apples to oranges. He's a professional athlete. It's different. But I'm not going to sit here and kill RJ Barrett because he is currently having to reconcile with the fact that, like, he kind of like he still has an important role on this team, but there are going to be times where, like, he doesn't close the game. And I didn't think he should have closed the game tonight, to be honest with you. He had, if we're going to call a spade, he had some moments that were not great tonight. Like grabbing a rebound he needed to grab, stepping out of bounds, and a couple other moments where there was some like weird, maybe some poor shots. I'm not killing RJ Barrett, but like he shouldn't have been on the floor. And I'm sure will continue to reconcile with that fact. It's not easy. It's not easy. So I'm not going to kill him for that. Appreciate you, Helmer. Ryan with another one. First time, long time, John. I'm jumping out of the window. Him post-game interview injected into my veins. Tonight's biggest question: who gets snubbed of stars? Oh, I know who the stars are tonight. It's Brunson, Hartenstein, Hart. That's easy. That's very easy. And Hart easily as the 1-star guy because of his defense on Donovan Mitchell. That's super easy. In terms of the post-game interview, all I heard was the first part where he was like, they asked him, like, are you tired? And he's like, I'm great. Or something to that effect. Yeah. No, he's Jalen Brunson's awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Robert Cross with another one. Thank you as always, Robert. Shouldn't you be at the gym or something? Stay in good shape. So you get another Twitter Abby with your maybe a shirtless Twitter Abby. What do you think? Get some airbrushing on that? You could probably use it. First time, long time, John. Can we stop talking about how good other NBA teams are now? We are a big dog too. Hashtag 53 wins. Here's how I see the NBA this year. You want to know how I see the NBA this year? Here's how I see the NBA this year. I think there are 4 teams that deserve to be discussed above everybody else as title favorites, title co-favorites. And they are the Bucks, the Sixers, the Celtics, and the Suns. And I'm including the Suns in there because they got Kevin freaking Durant. And Kevin Durant is healthy now and playing basketball, and the Suns are really good. I think those are the top 4 teams. I think after that, you have a group, and the Nuggets probably deserve to be in that first group. I frankly still have a few too many questions about the Nuggets' ability to win 4 playoff series. But like that next group where you have the Nuggets and the Cavs and the Grizzlies. Again, some people would have the Grizzlies in the first group. I have them in the second group. The Clippers. You know, if you want to throw the Warriors in there, if you want to throw the Lakers in there, if you want to throw the Kings in there, we're in that group. We're in that group, and I don't think we need to separate that second group into 2 tiers. That's to me what the parity of this NBA season speaks to. And if I didn't say so explicitly, the Cavs are in that group as well. That the parity of this NBA season is in the fact that there's a lot. You could argue that there should be 7, 8, 9, 10 teams in that second group, and the Knicks are in there. And like, you want to tell me like, oh well, you know, shouldn't the Knicks be closer to the first group? I look at it as like, who do I fully believe can win the NBA title this year? I believe the Bucks could win the NBA title. I believe the Suns could win the NBA title. I believe the Sixers could win the NBA title. And I got to tell you, I still believe the Celtics could win the NBA title. I'm not picking them. But, and I think the Knicks could beat them. I think the Knicks could beat, again, the Knicks could beat anyone in the 7-game series. But I hope that pacifies you, Mr. Cross. Keith, what's going on, Keith? Huge win. Huge win. That is the one word where I will never be able to get my Staten Island accent to die down. I don't know how to say huge the proper way. Jalen Brunson was obviously an alien, but this was a team win, 100%. I love that we have 48 minutes of center, guard, and wing depth. RJ and Obi got into it and made up immediately after. That's beautiful. I agree. I have no issues with that whatsoever. We're tough. Salute to KFS. Thank you, Keith. Thank you for your consistent generosity and insightfulness and spirit on these post games. They are not a team with a lot of weak spots. You know, and that's like, what are we, an hour and a half in now? I guess I could talk about it. Like, the road that we were going down with Randall the previous couple of games, and especially the like kind of how he came out against Orlando initially, and then how he came out even against Miami, kind of on both ends, more on defense but somewhat on offense. Like, again, we're talking about a week's worth of games, less than a week's worth of games. So you don't want to go crazy about it. But like, when we all experienced last season and we know what Randall looks like when something's not right, and how and how negatively impactful that could be on a team, I think a lot of us, I'll speak for myself, I was getting worried. I was like, oh, wait a minute. What road are we going down here? Again, I want Randall to get back. I want Randall to be healthy. I want Randall on the floor. But for the moment, at least, when you're talking about 48 minutes of positive production and energy from center, guard, wing, we could sit here right now and be like, you know what? Maybe the ceiling is lower, right? Maybe the ceiling is lower, but you really don't have to ask any of those questions. Like, what are the questions you have to ask right now in terms of like, oh, this is going to be a glaring potential issue tonight? Like, yeah, you're going to get your couple of RJ moments that are maybe not great. And again, that's because we key in on RJ. To Mentz's point on today's excellent Casual Fridays pod, we key in on RJ more than anybody else because he makes a lot of money. He was the 3rd pick in the draft. But you know, some of those moments stand out more. Obi on defense, we had a couple of moments tonight that were a little bit weak. Jalen Brunson defensively is someone that teams are going to target. So it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but for the most part, you really are getting 48 minutes of two-way stuff that you feel good about. And you feel like even if there is a weak spot, that they're going to be able to figure out a way to handle that weak spot, which is what's really nice. And it's so good to be able to talk about a team in this way, by the way. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate you, man. David Crockett, Oliver Twist voice. More, sir. Someone's a teacher. Thank you, David. Love you, man. Cheers to you. Robert Cross does. He can't get enough. It's your boy John. Can we talk about? Can we talk cutlets for a moment? Mozzarella tonight. Portuguese roll. A little balsamic. Feel free to wax poetic. Hashtag 53 wins. There's one cutlet left in my fridge. Unfortunately, I don't have a roll or any good bread for that matter. So I will be heating up some leftover pizza. We ordered in. Shout out to anybody who's in Brooklyn. Enoteca on Court Street. They make several great pies. My wife and I split their version of a artichoke pie earlier tonight. We got a little mini one, and then we got a large regular margarita. So I will be heating up some leftover Enoteca pizza tonight. No cutlet for me tonight, Robert. I'm sorry. Maybe Sunday. Stevens Guillaume. What's going on, Stevens? Thank you for the generous contribution, my man. This has to be the best win of the season. Okay, I'm here for this energy. What a game. Thank you, Mavs. Thank you, Mark Cuban. Thank you, KFS, for all your hard work. The playoffs are going to be fun. Shit, the Mavs play tomorrow. Yeah, the Mavs don't play tonight. The Mavs play tomorrow, and they play I believe they play the Sixers. No. Oh, my God. Yes, the Mavs play the Heat. So how about this? I mean, every Knicks fan, because we want to. Let's hold on here. Wait 1 second here. So let's look at the scoreboard tonight. So tonight, the Lakers beat the Wolves. Big win for the Lakers. Lakers beat the Wolves, which means that the Lakers moved up to seventh. They're a game behind the Warriors. So Lakers and Pelicans 12.5 back. Wolves 13 back. Thunder lost. Big loss for the Thunder for the Mavs pick. Bad job by me. I didn't mention that before. Terrible job by me. Big loss for the Mavs pick. So Oklahoma City Thunder 14 back. And then there's the Dallas Mavericks at 14.5 back. If the Mavs could beat the Heat tomorrow, they will pull into a tie with Oklahoma City for the 10th spot, which would be massive for that pick. And how my wife hasn't woken up yet, I don't know. The Knicks make the playoffs. Right? How about that? Big game. Everybody get your Mavs gear on. Everybody get your Mark Cuban masks on. Get your Kyrie jerseys out. I know all of us watching. I got my Kyrie jersey. I got the home. I got the way. I got the Celtics Kyrie jerseys. Nets Kyrie jerseys. Mavs Kyrie jerseys. What other teams has he murdered? Cavs Kyrie jerseys. I was gonna make a terrible joke. Yeah, go Kyrie, go Luka. That's all I'll say. Here's a quote from this is courtesy of Fred Katz. Shout out to Fred. This is RJ Barrett on Obi Toppin. We good. We see each other basically every day. You tell me that you haven't had an argument with a family member before. You know what I'm saying? You have an argument with a family member. You had an argument with a family member before. That was all it was. Right after the timeout, we squashed it. I would like to know what the argument was about. And now I'm checking on Twitter here. Someone tagged me. Let's buy John the rap album that Cena made. I actually owned it when I was younger and knew several songs. John Cena made a rap album? It seems like an interesting choice. I don't know about that one. Thanks, Stevens. Appreciate you, man. Kenneth Escalona, thank you for the generous contribution. Appreciate you. Nice plain, Avi. Sergio Acosta with another one. Hashtag 53 wins, including the postseason. Ooh! Like that. I like that a lot. Hashtag Brunsonlino. Brunsolino? Brunsolino. Hashtag Macallan Whiskey. Hashtag KFS. No, I'm sipping on the Starlight, courtesy of my good friend Ray Marcano. It's not enough that Ray Marcano contributes all the time fabulous pieces for the Knicks Film School newsletter, bringing his award-winning journalism to my dinky little thing, but he also occasionally will send me a bottle of bourbon because he's the best human being on the face of the earth. Thank you, Ray. Shout out to Ray. He's on a cruise right now with his lovely wife. Busy. What's going on, Busy? And hold on. I got Justin. I just saw this. I'm gonna read this in a second. Obi is a good basketball player. It's a shame what this coach does to him. I think Busy's trying to get under my skin. That can't be a serious comment. Right before that, this is from APJP. Right before the timeout, RJ looked off an Obi lob. So I think that's what they were arguing about. Okay, we'll see. Thank you for the contribution as always, Obi. I hope Busy. I hope you're not serious there. I mean, that's their offense. It's their offense. Their offense is not suited to Obi Toppin. Never has been. Never will be. Yeah, this is what it is. Frank Miranda, what's going on, Frank? What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. If Jalen Brunson beats Spida again in this year's playoffs, we collectively, including the national media, need to adjust their player rankings. This guy looks like a top 15 guy. Man. I mean, there are big game players that show up in the biggest moments. The tough part about Brunson is he's always going to be a guy who's going to have challenges defensively. That said, with his addition of the three-point shot, and specifically the pull-up three-pointer, and two biggest shots of the game tonight, the two moment of the game candidates that I nominated tonight were two pull-up threes. With that addition, and if his three-point shooting continues to get, my God, here's a frightening thought for the rest of the league. If it continues to get better, and he's already a top 5 isolation player in the league by the numbers, those are just those are just the stats. Isolation points per possession, he's top 5 in the league. And on this volume, with this usage, and seemingly able to do it in the big moments, obviously, man's won a national title in college. Like, it's interesting because like NBA history doesn't always properly reflect how guys like. So the guy I'm thinking of is Isaiah Thomas, the first Isaiah Thomas. So Isaiah Thomas, generally considered, I think, one of the 30 greatest basketball players alive. Now, Isaiah Thomas was a 12-time All-Star, to be clear. So Isaiah Thomas, every year he was in the league or every year he was in his prime, was considered one of the 24 best players in the sport. That said, only made 5 All-NBA teams. He was a second-team player twice. He was a first-team player 3 times. He was always like, he made All-NBA, or he made MVP ballots, but he was only top 5 MVP one time. He was top 10 MVP. He was finished 8th once. He finished 9th twice. That's the most glaring example because based just on his accolades, you'd say about Isaiah Thomas, like, his accolades, again, just in terms of like All-NBA, All-Star, like MVP voting, Like his accolades aren't all that different from like, I don't know, a guy like Ray Allen or something. I don't want to disparage Ray Allen. Ray Allen's one of the top 75 greatest players ever. But like, again, Isaiah Thomas, pound for pound, one of the greatest players of all time. A guy who, when you think of the 80s, after you think of Bird, Magic, Julius, you know, you probably think of Isaiah Thomas. Like, big game player, came up big, leader, small guy, got the most out of his talent. Like when he made a point about like, you're not going to stop me right now, like you couldn't stop him. Like Brunson strikes me as a kind of in the Isaiah Thomas mold. And there are other comps, but like, you know, again, just by all NBA voting, like Isaiah Thomas was only considered a top 15 guy 5 times in his career. And yet we think of him as maybe one of the 25 or 30 greatest players ever. So I don't know. It just depends how you look at it. Like Donovan Mitchell is always going to have the numbers over Jalen Brunson. Just because he is. But what do you do when the lights shine the brightest? We'll find out in this playoffs, right? Thanks, Frank. Appreciate you as always, man. What was that? Walt? I saw something briefly. Dragon Thorn X, that is a fun name. Aside from Brunson, Hartenstein was huge this game. Brings so much skill to the center position. Solid defense as well. Yep. Yeah, he was awesome. He was great. Can't play much better on either end than Hartenstein played tonight for the role that he is asked to do. Robert Cross with another one. Someone needs to get Robert. Someone needs to take Robert. Like we talk about taking Mitchell Robinson's phone away. We got to take Robert Cross's phone away. First time, long time, John. Can you rank the top 5 wins of the season to date? Everyone is happy to go for this stroll. Take your time. Hashtag 53 wins. You know, I'll do it only because I have the spreadsheet that I started working on. Do I have to rank them in order, or can I just give you the top 5? Obviously, you can't hear me, so let me just do the top 5 and then okay. I got to tell you, and this is going to be a controversial take probably. You're going to have to pry from my cold dead hands the first Cleveland game from my top 5. And again, the season was over. It was over. I wrote a freaking newsletter in which I was like, when you know, you know. And it was very clear. It's like the coach needs to get fired. Like, I love this coach. I supported this coach all the way through. It's time. And, 23 games in, the Knicks were 26th in defense. Like, their offense wasn't all that much better. They let go of the rope in the second half. Like, it was just bad. So that win to come out the next day, they came out and they held Cleveland to 81 points. The freaking team, the same team that we saw tonight score 47 points in the first quarter, we held them to 81 points in that game. That's got to be in there. It's got to be in there. The double overtime game for sure against Boston. Man, this is where it's so tough. I'll give you tonight. I can't rank these. I don't have it in me to rank them. I'm just going to give you the 5. I'll give you tonight. I'll give you. I kind of want to put 2 of the Miami games in there. So what am I going to do? Am I going to put 2 Cleveland games, 2 Miami games, and 1 Boston game? And no Denver game? Yeah, I think I am. I'm going to get Jesus Christ. I'm going to do the most recent Miami game And I'll do the Julius shot for the win in Miami. So you got the last 2 Miami games, you got the Boston double overtime game, and then you got the first Cleveland win and this Cleveland win, which eliminates. Here are the ones that didn't make the cut. The either Denver win, both of which were big. The Boston overtime win, 120-117. I mean, that game was massive. What else don't you get? The Philly win, either Philly win. And there's some other ones, but like the first Miami win, that was big. Yeah, you don't get any of those. But those, if you want my top 5, those are my top 5. That's my gut feeling. Jordan Miller. Have we ever seen a Knicks turn around their season this much midseason like Isaiah Hartenstein has? I will happily take my L hating on him early in the season. I can't think of it. No, I can't think of an example. Think about how many times I would come on here after a game and just like people would be like, why is he playing over Jericho Sims? Like his minutes lost us the game tonight in his whatever 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 minutes. It was really bad. And he looked bad, in fairness. He was not good. So, no. Number 1 on that list for sure. Thanks, Jordan. Good question. Very good question. Row 1 Senior. Great win. I feel like we need to switch to a 10-man rotation for the playoffs, even with Julius back. Deuce's defense. Well, it would be. Obviously, you're not switching to a 10-man rotation now, so it would be only with Julius back, right? Deuce's defense feels necessary. So, the 3 things, 2.5 things. You could switch to a 10-man rotation and get Deuce in there for like 8 to 12 minutes a game. 8 to 12 minutes a game is not a lot. The issues are, it does feel like it leaves you a little small because it's Deuce, Quickly, Hart. Well, if Obi's back, then Obi, and then Hartenstein. So you know what? Actually, I take that back because Hart plays big. So forget about that. Okay, you deal with the size. Offense. You're relying a ton on Quickly for offense there to generate offense and to lead your offense. And like, look, I've been obviously as critical of RJ Barrett as anyone. And there are times, including tonight, by the way, where when it's him and Quickly there to try to spearhead the offense and RJ tries to do some stuff, it's like it doesn't look pretty. On balance, you still probably want RJ out there, although we keep talking about Isaiah Hartenstein tonight. Maybe the solution is you kind of empower him even more during those stretches to not run the offense, but like, you know, do his thing. And then between him and Quickly, maybe you could scrap and claw enough. But that's an issue. That's a consideration at the very least. And then the big thing, and this is where, you know, and I wrote something to this effect. I think it was maybe just to begin the week in terms of like what the Knicks do from here on out could kind of maybe reveal what they really think about, you know, who's sticking around and like who they're not worried about like hurting their feelings and whatnot. So RJ Barrett tonight played 30 minutes. I'm assuming. Well, okay, let's just take. No, I don't have to assume anything. Deuce McBride played 10 minutes. If you want to stick with if you want to go to a 10-man rotation with Julius back, and if you're going to have someone in the rotation, they're going to play at least 8 to 12 minutes. I got to tell you, I think those minutes are coming from RJ because, again, it's second unit minutes. So are you comfortable with RJ Barrett playing 22 minutes in a game, 24 minutes in a game at most? Because if you get Deuce in as the 10th man, I kind of think that's where this is headed. Not necessarily. Grimes played 36 minutes tonight. You could reduce Grimes' minutes. You could reduce Hart's minutes. But, like, if we're really getting down to brass tacks and you want Deuce in there because you believe those 10 minutes will help improve the team's chances of winning basketball games in April, playoff basketball games, that means you're doing everything to win every minute. We're not worried about getting mouths. How many mouths we have to feed and appearances, right? If that's the case, and RJ's the one to take the hit, how do we feel about that? I don't know. That's to each their own. It's an interesting point, though. Again, and Deuce's defense is great. Thanks, Rowan Senior. Appreciate it. SB Gorilla, what's going on, SB? You think Obi said to RJ, pass the effing ball, you black hole? God, I shouldn't laugh. And play some defense. You're making me look bad. I'm assuming that's what RJ want. That's why RJ wanted to fight. LOL. Semi kidding. I'm happy they resolved it. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. Look, RJ contributed to the win. Let's be happy about that. Robert Cross. The theme of this season has been overcoming resilience. The theme of this postgame and all postgames is Robert Cross. Even though a noun cannot, or a thing, a person, place, or a thing cannot be a theme. A theme is a sentence. If you could read it on the side of a bus, it's a theme. So Robert Cross pontificates. Or no. Pontification is the spice of life. That's a theme. Hashtag Robert Cross. Anyway, it's your boy John. Can we talk about how the Knicks have the best bench and the deepest team in the NBA? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. Hashtag 53 wins. I'll give you best bench. I'll give you best bench because they bring Emmanuel Quickley and Josh Hart off the bench, and Emmanuel Quickley is going to win Sixth Man of the Year. And if Josh Hart was on the team the entire season, there is a very good possibility that we would duplicate what the Clippers managed to pull off several years, getting two guys in the top 3 or 4 and voting for 6 men, and what the Utah Jazz pulled off a few years ago, getting Jordan Clarkson and Bogdanovich. No, not Bogdanovich. Ingles in the top of the 6-man voting, and we would have 2 of the top, 3 or 4 vote getters, to say nothing of Hartenstein and, McBride and Obi and the whole thing. As far as the deepest team is tough because deepest team to me is like the team that is best equipped to play 48 minutes of there's no weak spots. 48 minutes, no weak spots, no holes, no, like, if the defense is game planning, it's like, all right, we want to get the ball into this guy's hands and, this guy, like such and so on and so forth. Like the Knicks have soft spots, and we know what they are, whether Julius is here or not. So I'm not sure I could give you deepest because that's, again, when I think of deepest, that's what I think of. But best bench, yes, they have the best bench in the NBA. Thanks, Robert. Sergio Acosta, Brunson's better than Mitchell. I'm here for it. All day long. Why not? Fuck it. Thanks, Sergio. Sam Garcia, I'd love to see Jaylen Brown on this team, John. I know you would, Sam. I know you would. Yeah, listen, look, obviously, I'm rooting for Boston to get the 1 seed. I fear Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee matches up particularly well with us. Giannis is the best player in basketball. The notion of trying to beat that guy 4 times in 7 games. So, yeah, I'm rooting for Boston to get the 1 seed. That said, Boston is a team that just took the Milwaukee team that I just said I don't want to play behind the woodshed last night and beat them by 17,000 points. So, like, be careful what you wish for. All that said, to get back to your comment, if the Celtics have an unceremonious exit from this playoffs, perhaps earlier than anticipated, whether it comes against Philly or us or Cleveland for that matter, or I guess Brooklyn could be, or Miami for who knows, whatever, against somebody, like, and they see the writing on the wall with Jaylen Brown. The big thing is going to come down to All NBA. If Jaylen Brown gets All NBA, and again, shout out to Zach Lowe talking about this with Kirk Goldsberry earlier today on his pod. Some teams fear their player getting All NBA because they don't necessarily want to pay that player. I think the Boston Celtics would embrace it because, as of yet, there has not been a player that has turned down Supermax money. So the notion that Jaylen Brown is going to turn down Supermax money is, I'll see when I believe it. But yeah, he'd look pretty good on this team. Not my perfect fit though. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. Remember that Eastern Conference Finals dark horse talk? I do. It's happening. Hashtag 53 wins. I told you if this team makes the Eastern Finals, what did I say I'm going to do? We have to agree on this. I can't fly you to New York because I quite frankly can't afford it. We got to figure out something. Maybe I'll commit to coming out to Bend, Oregon at some point in the next 3 years, and I'll buy you dinner if this team makes the Eastern Conference Finals. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'll do just what's the wine delivery service or the alcohol delivery service? Drizzly? Yeah, maybe I'll just drizzly you something. One way or another. If this team makes the Eastern Conference Finals, you'll get rewarded. True story, Jay. Thanks, Dallas. Oh, the Mavs. The Mavs. Oh my God. Who do the Mavs have left? Should we Oh wow, there must have been a big moment in the women's tournament. Caitlin Clark just did something amazing for what, Iowa? Anyway, yeah, the Mavs are at press time. Wait a minute. Hold on. Did I screw up the standings here? Yeah, no. Okay. They're 37-4. What the heck? I had a standings up that was weeks old. They're 37-40. So they have to go undefeated to finish above 500. Otherwise, they will be in a 500 team. And the games that they have remaining. Here we go. At Miami. At Atlanta. I think they'll win at Atlanta, though. Be great if they won at Miami. Kings home, Bulls home, Spurs. For momentum's sake, I'm going to say this. I think their season will be defined by tomorrow, and I think our draft pick will be defined by tomorrow. The Mavs pick, obviously. If they could win in Miami and beat that Miami team in Miami, I feel like they might get enough momentum to feel like, hey, let's go into this freaking Hawks game. The Hawks are dog shit. Screw Atlanta. In case anybody wants to know how I feel about the Hawks. Screw Trae Young. Muskrat. They'll go into the Atlanta, get that win, and then to finish with 3 home games: Kings, Bulls, Spurs. The Kings will be tough, but again, if the Kings have everything wrapped up or have whatever they need to get wrapped up, does that impact things for Dallas? We'll see. But yeah, thanks, Dallas. Greg Moran, what's going on, Greg? Thank you as always for the generous contribution. Might need to submit a rules request change to 6 on 6 or 7 on 7 or 8 on 8 for the playoffs. Too many guys to choose from. The depth is beautiful to see. Let's freaking go Knicks. Let's freaking go KFS. Thank you. Yeah, the depth is great. If guys are unselfish, and like again, I'm not even gonna go there. If guys are, because like the regular season, I feel like it's okay to worry about stats in the regular season. Everybody worries about stats in the regular season. There are very few guys in the NBA who, during the regular season, like they don't worry about their stats. That game may not mean anything for Sacramento, by the way. That's big. That game probably won't mean anything for Sacramento. Sorry. That's okay to worry about your stats during the regular season. But like when it gets down to this point, and especially the playoffs, it's like if they could really pull together and make it all for one for all, truly, and there's no hurt feelings or resentment or like why am I not on the court or this or that. And that doesn't, I mean, everybody thinks I'm talking about RJ. Like that goes for Quickly, that goes for Grimes, that goes for, I mean, Jalen Brunson, we've already seen him be okay with not being on the floor, but it goes for everybody. Mitch goes for everybody. There's going to be some tough pills to swallow because this team is deep. And different guys have it on different nights. So, we'll see. We'll see how they handle it. Thanks, Greg. I got to find a different game to get on. I have this Denver Suns game on right now, and it's a blowout because Jokic sat. Robert Cross, my God. This has to be the game of the year because Robert Cross, I think this is his 8th super chat. It's your boy, John. Can we talk a little about how iHeart has been a force in recent weeks? I am happy to hang up and listen. Hashtag 53 wins. You don't ever hang up and listen. You always have more. It's never, too much is never enough. So let me give you a Hartenstein something from the newsletter that I was going to write, or that I did write, and I was going to publish today. All right, here's one. So starting, and this was a stat from yesterday, so I may need to update this. Starting, I'm just reading literally from the newsletter that was supposed to run today. Starting with the January 24th win over the Cleveland Cavaliers, in which Hartenstein made several game-saving defensive plays late in the fourth quarter, the Knicks are outscoring teams by 14.7 points per 100 possessions when Hartenstein is on the court. That number will go up tonight because the Knicks outscored the Cavs by 15 points in the 26 minutes that Hartenstein played. So that number will probably go over 15 tonight. While getting outscored by 4 points per 100 possessions when Hartenstein sits. So that means in all the minutes over the last 10 weeks that Hartenstein has not been on the floor. 10 weeks. That Hartenstein, all the minutes over those 10 weeks that Hartenstein has not been on the floor, the Knicks are getting outscored by 4 points per 100 possessions when he sits, and that number will not change much tonight because tonight Mitchell Robinson was a -1 in 22 minutes. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade at Mitch, but this is just the reality. That on-court positive differential, again, the plus 14.7, is third amongst all rotation players, averaging at least 15 minutes a night in that time, trailing only Denver's Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. Both of those guys are playing tonight. Both of those guys' on-off differentials, positive numbers, will take a hit tonight because they don't have Nikola Jokic alongside of them. Yeah, and that again, that's among rotation players. He's killing it. He's absolutely killing it. And actually, I just checked now. The stats are updated. As of right now, Hartenstein has pulled ahead of those guys. So he is first in the league amongst NBA rotation players at plus 15.3 points per 100 possessions in his minutes in 22.3 minutes per night. Man. Really outstanding stuff. So that basically tells you by on-off differential over the last 10 weeks, Isaiah Hartenstein has been the most impactful player in basketball. Is that okay for you, Robert? Talk about how he's been a force in recent weeks. Good signing by the front office. Sergio Acosta, thank you again, Sergio, for your generous contribution. For every time I skip a post game because I'm sick about a loss, I love this community and I take losses like I'm still playing Little League Baseball. So, again, I'll throw it to a preview for my top games column. Think about some of the heartbreaking losses, devastating losses this team has had this year. First game of the freaking season. Overtime loss by 3 points to the Memphis Grizzlies. The Atlanta loss when we were up by 20 and we ended up losing by 13 in the 7th game. We were ringing alarm bells back then. The 13th game of the season where we went to as a Knicks Film School community. Shout out to all the patrons out there. And we watched this team give up the defense was non-existent, giving up 145 points to the Oklahoma City Thunder. After that game, as I've talked about, I believe there was a meeting called by Mr. Dolan amongst the figureheads of this organization in which he took them behind the woodshed after that game. The Dallas loss, obviously, when they got the shit beat out of them. The Chicago loss with the missed free throws at the end. And then the next 4 I'm going to say are all overtime losses. The second Dallas game, the Toronto game, where RJ had to dunk to tie it at the end and they still lost. The Lakers game, the Clippers game, and then the Minnesota game, where they let Minnesota shoot, 98% from the field and from 3. Think about all those losses. And think about how devastating they were in the moment and how this team has come back from each of them. Special team, man. Special team, Sergio. Glad you're with us for this. Man, Robert Cross must be drunk or high or both. Robert Cross, first time, long time, John. Do you know who I am scared of playing in the playoffs this year? I already know the answer. No one. Hashtag 53 wins. It's great. I can't say anything to you, Robert. Man. Bless your significant other that she puts up with you with this crap. Truly. Shout out to all of Bend, Oregon. I really want to go to Bend, Oregon. I want to see what it's like there. Thanks, Robert. Stevens Guillaume with another one. Mitchell is to Brunson what Sabonis is to Randall. They just see red. Both of those guys are going to make All-NBA this year, although Mitchell will make a higher team. Yeah, Brunson and to get into, I'm not the person to be getting into X's and O's, but what I did notice in the second half at least was, so the Knicks were trying to force when they moved Mitchell off of Brunson, the Knicks would do a decent job trying to force the switches to get it back to where Mitchell was guarding Brunson, but they would, I guess, kind of it would be the brief switch, but the initial defender, or Mitchell would show, but the initial they wouldn't fully execute the switch. They would briefly have 2 on Brunson, and then Brunson would either have to get rid of the ball or try to go 2-on-1, which he didn't really do, because again they stopped relenting on the switch, and those moments are going to be, especially if Randall is out, those moments are going to be the moments that define how well the Knicks do in the postseason, because Cleveland's not going to let Donovan Mitchell do this to them. They're just not. And unlike Utah, because Utah, they had Mitchell and they had Connolly. Two guys that you like when you have two soft spots. Now, granted, the Cavs have Garland too, and Garland's a little bit of a weaker defender also. So, like, you could bring different guys into the action, and that's again one of the flaws with this Cavs team. But you know, I'm trying to think about that Utah team last year. Like, they had Bogey, they still had Royce O'Neal. Those guys are solid defenders, but like, Brunson figured out how to have his way with that team. Like, the Cavs, they're going to have the rim protection, obviously, that Utah had. Gobert and Allen or Mobley or both of them. But what about when Brunson gets the big switched out onto him on the perimeter? Can he do something with that? My guess is that that's where the pull-up three is going to come into play for real. But yeah, no, I mean, the Cavs, they have these good defensive wings between Okoro and Stevens, and I mean, really Okoro and Stevens. But like, those guys are not necessarily the most reliable 3-point shooters. So it's like, it's a give and take. So that's why it's going to be a good series if they play each other. It's going to be really competitive. I fully believe. Hush Zoo. Something is just different with this team. When Randall is back and he's well rested, this playoffs is going to be fun. Brunson, what a pleasure to watch. What is this? Man, there must have been a really freaking... Bill Simmons just tweeted out the 2023 leader for him, best sporting event of the year. I know he's not talking about the Knicks game. I would kindly put the Knicks game up for consideration as best sporting event of the year. Yeah, I think they are special. I think they believe in each other. I think the vibes are good. It's a good group. And I will say, like, I do think it's the notion that they're definitely going to get Randall back. That was a bad sprain, and we don't know what's going to happen. But either way, it's a great team to watch. Thanks, Hush. Hamdy M. What are you doing, Hamdy? My goodness gracious. Congrats on the playoff berth, KFS family and community. Can't say enough about this team. RJ is slower than my metabolism. Man, I will say I did have my RJ shake my head moment when he tried to I don't know if I could say put the moves on, but I'll say put the moves on. Oh my God, who was that? Hold on, I have to look it up. I forget who it was. It was Dean Wade. Yeah, it was Dean Wade. And Dean Wade just rejected him on the baseline. I was like, oh my God. Look, sometimes he doesn't have it, and you're going to get those possessions every game. But like, he also had some really important makes, and he had some really impressive makes, important makes and impressive makes. So let's take it easy on RJ. And again, I can't celebrate the playoff berth yet. We got to get either one more win or one more loss from Miami. And also, like, at this point, again, the Nets have Angel Food Cake schedule. Angel Food Cake down the stretch. And I think at this point, we want the 5th seed. And the 5th seed should be the goal. Even with Randall down, even after this win, even after the Miami win, I think getting that 5th seed is still vital. So, the magic number's 3. That's enough of a magic number where I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to celebrate just yet. Not yet. But thank you, Hamdy. Appreciate it. Robert Cross. He's a madman. It's your boy, John. I am not a big talker, but I was right, and this team is better than hashtag 53 wins. You're not a big talker. Were you right? Were you right? I mean, you weren't wrong. We all had. I mean, I don't want to overgeneralize, but like, we did our little town hall before the season. Most of us were in the high 30s, low 40s. Few people were in the mid 40s. You might wind up closer than a lot of those folks. Most of those folks, maybe all of those folks. They're not going to win 50 games. They can't win 50 games, but 48 in the spirit of 53 wins. I think you get it. And all kidding aside, Robert, thank you. Your outstanding generosity is like, thank you. Truly. Kenneth Escalona, 2 hearts are better than 1. Jalen Brunson absolutely targeting his dream. Deuce's dunk. Yes, I love the Deuce dunk. The Deuce dunk was great on the assist from Hartenstein. I was like, is he going to get up? Is he going to get up? Is he going to get up? And then he got up and he got it for the dunk. All team effort. Man, I feel bad. You say JB is targeting his dream. I wonder what his dream is. I mean, I'm sure his dream is to win an NBA championship. I'm sure he cares a lot more about that than like individual accolades. I felt bad. I did my all NBA final picks for the season earlier today for the Patreon pod, and I couldn't get Jalen Brunson on there. I think he'll get votes, and I think getting votes in and of itself will be meaningful. But it's just, I mean, the guard class in other years, if Jalen Brunson had this exact season that he's having right now, I think he'd get on. I really do. I think he'd get on. He's been that good. Thanks, Kenneth. Juanon! I would not want to play this Knicks team in the first or second round if I was the fan of another East team. We're like the Justin Gathje. I feel bad. I don't know who that is. Of basketball. It's going to be a slugfest, one or the other. Well, now I have to look up who this is. Justin. I'm going to feel very stupid when I find out who this is. Oh, it was a UFC fighter. Let's see here. Justin. I don't know how to. I'm not going to try to pronounce that name. Is an American professional mixed martial artist. Lightweight division. Former champion. And he was number 3 in the lightweight rankings. Okay. Nicknamed the Highlight. That's a pretty aggressive nickname. Okay. Well, I hope so. That's good for him. Shout out to Justin, whose last name I'm not going to mispronounce. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. Not the best win of the season, but the best played game, in my opinion. Might be the best, most well-executed game, just from the shot-making perspective. Best played game of the season. That's a good question. You might be on that. You might have that one. That one you might have. I mean, but then again, like, what about like a game like the Pelicans game, where they took that team behind the woodshed and it was just not competitive? Like, there've been a lot of non-competitive games where they just were. Now, what do you do with that though? Right? Is like, do you get more credit for a well-played game against a team that is like a really good team that can throw back, that can go punch for punch with you? I don't know, but it's a very fair comment, Kev. It's a very fair comment. I would have to think about that. That's a hard one though. Juanon with another one. Also, if you're complaining after a night where a Randall-less Knicks team clinched a playoff berth against a team they're facing in the first round, please go away for the sake of your mental health. Again, they did not clinch a playoff berth yet. I should probably have explained this earlier. The reason the Knicks did not clinch a playoff berth tonight is because there was still a scenario where the Knicks could end up in a 3-team tie in which potentially they could be on the outside looking in. That's the reason. And to be certain about that, None of the Knicks account hasn't tweeted out we made the playoffs. The beat writers haven't tweeted it out. Like, they have, it's not yet. Tomorrow they could clinch if Miami loses to Dallas. Thanks, Juanon. I'm going to be at my in-laws tomorrow watching that game. I'm sure everybody, especially my wife, is going to be totally fine with me plopping my fat ass down on the couch and watching that game as opposed to being a good family member. Matt from Australia. What's going on, Matt? This freaking team. Best win of the season for the 10th time this season. that's I love that. That's a comment of the night, Matt. Best win of the season for the 10th time this season. Jalen Brunson is my point guard. Shout out Isaiah Hartenstein. His passes were crazy. Yep. When Jalen Brunson took that charge, I thought to myself, like, he's my favorite Knick in some time. I've gone back. I know I've gone back and forth between him and Quickly this year. It's close. But Brunson is like, he embodies so much about New York and New Yorkers. Awesome stuff. Thanks, Matt. Lunas Emirat, wonder what inspired Jalen to name his first son Donovan Mitchell. It's like Chipper Jones naming his kid. What did he name his kid? Shea? Yeah. Shout out to the Mets. Get well soon, Andrew Claudio. I can't say I'm going to watch a whole lot of Mets baseball this year, but I'm definitely going to listen to you commiserate about the Mets baseball. But that's a great comment, Lunas. Big B. Hey, John, if we swap RJ with Jaylen Brown, championship? ? Man, why are we doing this tonight? I like Jaylen Brown a lot. The he's grown so much as a player. He's going to make an All-NBA team this year. He's may not have even reached his ceiling yet. Harkening back to what I was talking about earlier in the show, I don't know if he's my ideal fit for this team. Now, who's to say that there may not be, additional moves? I don't know. I don't know about that one. He's a great player. He's a great player. I don't know. I have some questions. He's a great player though. And I think he's a guy who wants his own team. And I think he does not want to be in Boston, obviously. Thank you. Sean with a W. Shout out to him. And again, the entire Casual Fridays crew. But I was thinking about you earlier today, Sean, because I was, again, going through the wins. And I was like, man, should the Washington win be on the list of potentially best wins of the season? Because that win was a great win. Really was a great win. And you killed it on the post game that night. The Knicks have enough. Oh man. I don't know, man. Crazier things have happened. There's no super teams in the NBA this year. There's no super teams. The team that was my preseason pick to win it all, and the team that I would pick right now to win it all, just got absolutely demolished, embarrassed on their home floor. And the team that beat them, we've beat them 3 times this year. I don't know. They're really good. They could beat anyone on any given night. Shout out to you, man. Dom, what's going on, Dom? Hashtag we back. You've been pushing that one for a while. I like we back. I like we back for sure. Appreciate you, man. Joe Dugan, Hart deserves Defensive Player of the Year or First Team All Defense consideration. He's not going to get it he's not going to get it in part because he was on that dumpster fire of a Portland team. But hold on, let's see if I could look this up really, really quick. And he's like, here's the thing: he's not the level of. I don't know if he's the level of like. You can't say like, oh, he's one of the 2 or 3 best on-ball defenders in basketball. You can't really say he's one of like the best off-ball defenders in basketball. He's, I don't know, maybe he's in the top 10 of one of those conversations or top 15 in one of those conversations, but he's really good. What I want to look up is yeah, here we go. I'll get it up in about 2 seconds. Is so Portland, so he was Portland's best on-off guy for anybody who may not know. And I don't know, is it a coincidence that their season went off the rails after they traded him? Maybe. They had to do what they thought was best for their team. So, whatever. Good job by them. So when Josh Hart played for Portland, they had a 114.5 defensive rating, which is obviously not great. When Josh Hart has not been on the floor for the Portland Trailblazers this year, they have so it's actually not that big of a difference. 115.2 defensive rating. The big difference and why he is still their biggest on-off guy is on offense, actually. So when Josh Hart was off the floor for them, they got outscored. They're getting outscored, I guess, by 5.6 points per 100 possessions because they only score 109.6. And when Hart plays, they're scoring 117.8. I thought he had. Well, he also played probably most of his minutes with Dame and Simons. So I don't know, tough to judge, but yeah, I hope he gets some votes. Thanks, Joe. Dom Cappuccini with another one. iHeart is who we thought we signed. Yes, completely. Jalen is reminding voters not to forget him in All-NBA voting. So I ended up having, as my All-NBA spots, I had Luka and SGA as my first team guys. I had Donovan Mitchell along with De'Aaron Fox on the second team. De'Aaron Fox, best clutch player in the NBA this season. You know, obviously the Kings doing what they're doing. He's been incredible. And then I had on my third team, I had Dame and Curry. Dame and Steph. And honestly, if Brunson finishes the season like this, if he carries them like with not 48 every night, but like if he carries them to this level, yeah, I mean, there's a world where I could reconsider. Because like the other guys I wrote down in terms of like for your consideration were in no particular order. Devin Booker has missed 20. It will have missed at least 27 games. Ja Morant will have missed at least 19 games. And do you want to consider the circumstances under which he missed games? James Harden will have missed at least 22 games. Now, when those guys have been on the floor, Booker, Morant, and Harden, Booker's been better than Brunson, but again, there's a missed games difference of 16 games. Morant, I think Morant's a little overrated. And Harden, he's missed twice as many games as Brunson. Phillies has been really great when Harden has played. 38 and 17, I believe, is their record with Harden in the lineup after tonight. So Harden would get in that conversation. I think Brown is going to wind up as a forward in one of the forward spots. So I don't know. Maybe, listen, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. It's really not over yet. I mean that. But it's just like Curry and Lillard with the numbers they're putting up and the efficiency that they are scoring with. It's going to be tough even with the missed games. And even with the fact that, again, Portland, even when Dame played, was not a winning basketball team. And even with Curry, with Golden State, now after their win tonight, they're about to beat San Antonio. They're 2 games over 500 with Steph Curry in the lineup. So I don't know, man. It's an uphill battle, but he's going to get votes. He's going to get votes for sure. Thanks, Tom. Dominic Manzi, what's going on, Dominic? Shout out Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Scott Perry, Brock Aller, Walt Perrin, Tibbs Bryant, James Dolan, even Steve Mills gets some love tonight. How far these Knicks have come cannot be overstated. Shout out to, I forget who tweeted it. Somebody, I mean, there was a lot of tweets going around on June 30th, 2019. But I remember there was some tweet. I don't think it was from a national, like a big time guy. I don't think it was from like a Woj or a Shams or someone. I forget. Was Shams even like, did he even have a major impact at that point? Probably, but whatever. But something along the lines of like, after Durant and Kyrie made their decision, it was something like the Knicks are scrambling. They scrambled into Julius Randle, and that was meaningful. That was very meaningful, even though he did not play tonight. And they also, not that night, but they eventually scrambled their way into enough leftover cap space to sign Marcus Morris and eventually trade him for a pick that became Emmanuel Quickley. So Steve Mills did some good things. Drafted Mitchell Robinson. It was very good. Thanks, Dominic. Lee, can we talk about Hartenstein? Is he a C star, a center star? Yeah, he's a unique player. There's not a lot of centers that can do offensively what he could do. So he's awesome, and he is a Tibbs has said it before. I don't know if I've heard him say it recently, but he said it before. Be a star in your role. Isaiah Hartenstein is a star in his role. For sure. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate you, man. Hush Zoo, thank you, Dallas, for Brunson and your pick. I just want to emphasize again, I so badly want that pick this year. I may go out and buy. No, I'm not going to buy it. But like in spirit, I would buy a Dallas item of clothing to wear tomorrow to root for them against the Miami Heat. I really want that pick. I really want that pick to convey this year. Yeah, I think that'd be really. I think it could be potentially be important for the Knicks summer plans in terms of putting together trade packages. I don't think for one single solitary second the Knicks are actually going to make that pick, but I still think it's important that the pick conveys this year, and it could be big and meaningful. And then the Knicks make the playoffs. So yeah, thanks, Hush. Busy with this is one of two. I've been smiling and nodding throughout, clenched teeth all year while Julius Randle does great things. This team looks great when they were without him, even last year. I'll wait because I know there's a second comment coming. I like small ball. I like how everyone moves the ball. It is my hope that he is the guy that gets moved this summer, not RJ. The rotation was awesome. Busy, you got to bring the negative energy. Come on, man. Look, again, you're bold enough to say what a lot of people may be thinking, at least in part. So credit to you for that. At the end of the day, it is a stars league. And stardom is defined by shot making and playmaking. Meaning you either make the tough shots or you make the right play. And what's really tough, I think, is, and what separates your, like, I don't know, Norm Powells of the world from the very best, other than making like really tough shots really consistently, is knowing when to pass and being able to pass. And the thing that makes the Julius conversation really tough this year is he has progressed so much when it comes to making the right play and making the right play in somewhat expeditious fashion. Now, it's not always pretty. It's not always perfect. It doesn't always happen at the end of close games. And even when he is doing the things that you ask him to do, whether it is making shots or getting off the ball when the double comes in an appropriate time frame, it does still slow your offense down when he is in there. That is how he kind of wants to play. He is not a guy that is going to move without the ball, and he is occasionally going to take his time with a possession, as does Jalen Brunson, by the way. But his shot making, man, they didn't need it tonight because they shot, whatever they shot from three, 50% from three or whatever it was. His shot making has been so good. And he has made all the right decisions, and he's played defense a lot this year. I get it. I get it. I just don't. Building contending teams in the NBA is really hard, even when you do get lucky enough to draft a superstar type player that could be the best player in a championship team. Even when you get that gift, it's still freaking impossible to build a contending roster. And the Knicks are trying to do it without the benefit of having drafted that level of talent. And Julius is a big part of that effort. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting summer. That's what I'll say. And I have zero doubt that it's going to be a busy one. Exhibition continues. Thank you for the generous contribution, man. We we beat our first round opponent in the season series, leading to a 4-5 matchup. What a difference in the feeling this time around. Hashtag Eastern Conference Finals run coming. I love this team. It does feel differently. It does feel differently. I mean, and the difference is Andrew's not here to do it, so I'll do it. This team is just a much better team. And that is reflected in the fact that they have a top 5 offense for the entire year. I wonder if their offensive rating. All right, here offensive ratings this year. How about this? So the Kings are far and away the best, 118.8. The Nuggets, second, 117.5. They're pretty secure in that. Here are the next 3 teams. Actually, I'm going to give you the next 4 teams. And as I say this, remember the fact that the Knicks in the We Here season had the 23rd ranked offense in basketball without any of the sorts of, guys that could do all the nice things that we're praising on their team. They're a much more limited team. Celtics, 3rd place, 117.3. Sixers, 4th place, 117.2. Knicks, 5th place, 116.8. Mavs, 6th place, 115.9. So there is a bigger gap between the Knicks as the 5th best offense in the league and the Mavs as the 6th best offense in the league than there is between the Knicks and the 2nd best offense in the league, which is the Denver Nuggets at 117.5. That's significant. They are a top 5 offense, and they are comfortably a top 5 offense. Defensively, they actually have dropped to 113.9, but again, using just in context, they're 19th at 113.9. The Charlotte Hornets are 20th at 114.7. So there's a 0.8 points per 100 possession differential between 19 and 20, which is the same differential as between the Knicks in 19th at 113.9 and the Hornets in 10th at 113.2. It's actually a bigger gap between 19th and 20th than there is between 19th and 10th. I spoke about this on a post game recently. There is a secure, very clear middle ground of NBA in terms of defensive rating. And the Knicks are squarely in that middle ground, right in the middle of the league. They need to be better. They can be better. I believe they will be better, but no need to go crazy. And they have a top 7 net rating. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Hey, John, playing against Spider isn't as painful as you were thinking back in August. This freaking team, I said back then, if the young guys ball out, they will more than make up for no Donovan Mitchell here. Success. I'm happy they didn't make the trade. Is there a chance if they had Donovan Mitchell on this team that I would be talking about them as a threat to win the title? Possibly. I'm still happy they didn't make the trade. What I talked about before. How do you get the most out of your roster? I don't believe if Donovan Mitchell was on this team that they would be getting the most out of this roster. Would they have a higher ceiling? Yes. Would they be a better team? I believe so. Well, no, they'd be a better team. But again, giving up all the picks they would have had to give up, either Quickly or Grimes, one of them was going out in that trade. And then to say nothing of RJ Barrett. I'm happy they didn't make the trade. I'm sure if they get smoked in the first round and Donovan Mitchell averages 40 some odd points and Cleveland romps in, 5 games, some enterprising Cleveland fan will go find this clip and spread it around the internet, and I will look like a fool. I stand by it. Thanks, Tom. Will, I work for Villanova Athletics. The Nova pros are different. Man. So obviously shout out to Brunson and shout out to Josh Hart. I always like, even for if it's just for me, I'm sure I'll do a trade value Patreon pod, but I always like to do a trade value thing once a year. What is Mikal Bridges' trade value right now in terms of where it ranks across the league? Again, the dude I think had 42 tonight. He's making $19 million a year for the next 3 seasons. Two seasons or 3 seasons? I want to say, I think it's 3. Like, he's probably gonna make an all-star team next year. He's making $19 million or $20 million, whatever it is. That is wild. But yeah, what I wouldn't give to get. I mean, and the Nets don't look so stupid for not accepting, I guess, whatever it was, the Memphis offer or the Pelicans offer with 4 first-round picks. They are different, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to Villanova. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Dom, you're madman. I see the defensive efficiency drop to 19th. We spoke about this a moment ago. I'm not surprised due to the early hot shooting. You know what? I'm not mad. These last 2 games are proving to me that they got that defensive dog still in them. Yeah, and again, like the first quarter defense, the shot making was insane. It happens. It's the NBA in 2023. It happens. I'm not going crazy about it in the least. Thank you, Dom. HMA 187. Thank you for the generous contribution. Hey, John, it's your boy, Sam Garcia's best friend from Sweden. What's going on, man? This team's free throw shooting will give me a stroke. Yeah, no, that's a valid negative point to bring up tonight. Man, when Brunson missed those 2 free throws, I was like, oh my God. The Knicks tonight went 15 of 24 from the line. Not what you want. Credit to them though. They you know what they did great tonight? They kept the Cavs off the line. The Cavs only got to the free throw line 13 times tonight. So really, really good job by them. As far as their free throw shooting as a team, I'm afraid to look. The Knicks this year at this point rank That's actually not terrible. They're ranked 22nd in the league in free throw shooting, 76.3%. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. The Cavs, by the way, rank 19th. So they're not that much better. The Cavs are about a percentage point and a half better. Shout out to Sweden. I don't know anything else. Danny Gardner, I think we're going to look back in a few years and realize how talented this team was. Might have 9 starters, the truest team in the NBA, all you could ask for. This team is all I could ask for. Is there a possibility that we're looking back on this team and we're like, wow, what a freaking basketball team? Sure. And part of the reason for that is Hartenstein, still young. Jalen Brunson, still young. All of the guys on rookie contracts, still young. RJ Barrett, who we talk about like he's a 10-year veteran, is 22. Mitchell Robinson, still young. Josh Hart, right? Josh Hart this is his 6th year in the NBA, right? I think. I know he's kind of older for a guy who's 6 years in the NBA, but like that dude could everybody on this team could continue getting better. Who knows where we're going to be talking about Emmanuel Quickly in several years, or RJ Barrett in several years, or Quentin Grimes in several years, or Obi Toppin in several years. If he ever gets to a situation where we could really see what he could do. Yeah, man. They're good and they're fun and they believe in themselves and they believe they could beat anyone, which is great. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate you as always, man. Logan Bartlett. What's going on, Logan? Thank you for the generous contribution. Appreciate you. Thanks for everything you do. My pleasure. Thank you. I love Brunson, Quickly, KFS, Tibbs, Allen Houston, and Josh Hart. I love the Allen Houston shout out. We haven't had a whole lot of Allen Houston shout outs. This is big news. League wide. The league and the NBA Players Association, per Woj, are continuing discussions tonight. They have agreed to, it was a midnight deadline. They've agreed to extend the deadline as they continue to make progress on a new deal. That's good. Look, let's keep it going. The sport's in a great place. No reason to upset the apple cart. Thank you, Logan. Appreciate that, man. Angel A1's Roman. What's going on, Angel? This is the best version of Tom Thibodeau we are watching. The back-to-back timeouts. I loved those back-to-back timeouts. Loved those back-to-back timeouts in the fourth quarter. Necessary. Stop the bleeding before it starts. Don't let it start to bleed. Right? Get the knife away, right? Before it gets too close. The adjustments, everything. Have to give it to him. Yeah, I mean, you want me to sing Tibbs' praises? What team clearly deserves, or what coach, I should say, clearly deserves more Coach of the Year consideration than Tom Thibodeau? I think JB Bickerstaff, probably, arguably. Jacques Vaughn, actually. Jacques Vaughn with, I can't believe I'm saying this because I kind of poo-pooed his Coach of the Year candidacy as I thought about it a little, not too long ago. The adjustment with a whole new team in the middle of the season, like that dude deserves very significant consideration. So let's say Jacques Vaughn, JB Bickerstaff, Mike Brown, obviously with the Kings. Taylor Jenkins, fantastic job, Taylor Jenkins, with Memphis to weather, various storms. I'm going to screw up his name. Dagnalt, the guy in OKC. So I've just named, 5 coaches? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 coaches. I would put Tibbs probably 6th behind those 5. I'd put him behind the OKC coach. I'd put him behind Brown. I'd put him. I don't know. He'd be right there, like in terms of my own personal ballot. I would have him probably. I would probably have him a little bit behind Jenkins in Memphis, and I'd have him right there for 4th place alongside Vaughn and Bickerstaff. I think. So he'd be in my top 5. I think he deserves to be in the top 5 for Coach of the Year voting. Zach Horowitz, what's going on, Zach? How are you, my man? Thank you for the generous contribution, as always. First loss to the Cavs, I said I didn't think Donovan Mitchell was built for the playoffs. I loved what Hart and company did to him in the second half. JB, Jalen Brunson, takes it personal when people talk about Donovan Mitchell being a Knick. Had him on skates. Let's freaking go Knicks. Yeah, I mean, he did it to him already once, you know? And I think, you know what I think gets under Brunson's skin? And shout out to Robert Cross for, I think, his first or second comment of the night 3 hours ago. All summer, like, they had signed Brunson. Brunson was here. And then all summer for 2 months, and I'm sure Brunson heard all of it, the conversation was, oh, should the Knicks trade for Donovan Mitchell when they don't have a star already on the roster? How will they get the second star? They will not have enough to get the second star. Star, 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 star. I bet you Brunson heard all that shit. And he was probably like, wait a minute, dude. I just cooked that dude in the playoffs. And like, I know I'm not, prime Kawhi Leonard on defense, but what is that dude? What is he? So he's no great shakes on defense, which, by the way, he's still not. And on offense, I just got the better of him. So why exactly are we talking about him being in the star category, me being chop liver? And I think this season he's gone out there and he's kind of, he's turned that chip on his shoulder into production. Not only against Cleveland, but against every team. So, yeah, I have to think that's part of where this comes from, for sure. Thanks, Zach. Zach with another one. Thank you, man. On a side note, was it Ron Burgundy night? What was up with all the jazz flute before commercial breaks? Also, I think I'm buying a Hartenstein jersey soon. You should buy a Hartenstein jersey. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I maybe missed it. I heard the Friday Night Knicks music. Yeah, there was some talk of Aqualung, right? I don't know. April Fool's Day tomorrow, maybe. April Fool's Day today. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. Special announcement. I'm leaving KFS to form Nets Film School. Hope nobody misses me. Thank you, Zach. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. I was thinking about the Derrick Rose love. I was thinking about Derrick Rose love. I was thinking about Derrick Rose. Love the man, but he killed us in the first game with a net minus 15, and he was a traffic cone on defense. If we start with this rotation, we get to 53 wins. Man, why are we piling on Derrick Rose? Like, Evan Fournier, I know Eric Fournier is your boy, but like, Evan Fournier wasn't great. He who shall not be named was pretty good when he was in the rotation, but also towards the end was not great. There's a lot of reasons why they started off rough. There's the Grimes injury. I mean, if you like, we could go. You want to talk about a good top 10 list? The top 10 reasons why the Knicks did not finish with 53 wins this year. Talk about absurd shit that I wouldn't have thought I would be able to write before the season. I could legitimately sit here and do a top 10 list of like, if this thing had gone differently, we might have 53 wins. If this thing had gone differently, we might have 53 wins. Mitch's injury, the Bulls game, the Mavs game, the Clippers game, all the Brunson potential game winning or tying shots at the end of buzzers that didn't go down. Like all this stuff. Craziness. But yes, Derrick Rose's poor play was a part of that. Joe Vogel, iHeart is becoming Tibbs' new Joakim Noah. Excited to have him locked in for his prime years. I also like Quickly more than Randall as the number 2 fourth quarter option. Yeah, I trust Quickly more than Randall in the fourth quarter for sure. In last 5 minutes, close game. I mean, I trust Brunson the most, but I trust Quickly after him. Joakim Noah, that was probably Tibbs' best adjustment ever. It was basically running the offense through him, and it worked. Got him a fourth place MVP finish. Yeah. It took a while, but we're here. We here. #we here. Dead Wards 604. I feel ashamed to know this offhand, but oh my goodness, here we go. The last WrestleMania John watched was WrestleMania 8 in 1992. Randy Savage beat Ric Flair for the world title. Did I mention Macho Man Randy Savage before? I don't think I did. I think I mentioned Ultimate Warrior and Bret the Hitman Hart. I don't think I mentioned Macho Man Randy Savage. Shout out to Slim Jim. That sounds right. You know why that sounds right? The last time I was consistently watching wrestling, I was not watching basketball yet. That was my first like introduction to sports, was watching wrestling. And I watched it up until I got into the Knicks, and I got into the Knicks in the 93-94 season. Very tail end of 92-93, as I've talked about before, but really it was 93-94. So it would make complete sense that 92, WrestleMania 8, was the last one. At the same time, though, I also remember is Royal Rumble still a thing? And if so, is Royal Rumble the thing where like every 5 minutes or every 30 seconds or whatever it is, a new guy emerges from the tunnel, and then you just get all of the people in the ring? That's the stuff that I remember a lot. And I actually think I may have inadvertently been talking about Royal Rumble when I thought I was talking about WrestleMania. The things you talk about when you're at the 3-hour mark of a post-game live stream. Thank you for that. Robert Cross went to the gym and came back. It's your boy John. I'm back. I had to take care of the woman for a bit. What's happening? Did people like my super chats? #53 wins. I have no idea, Robert. Robert, thank you for being you. That's all I'm going to say. Never change. Will Oliver, what's going on, Will? Brunson overpaid, talking about picking us the F up. Again, I just have to say there was talk of that amongst people who are not bright. People who know the NBA and who watched Jalen Brunson knew that it was at worst, a perfectly fine contract. And now he's underpaid, obviously. Thanks, Will. Appreciate you, man. Next up, Buzzer Beater. What's going on, Buzzer Beater? As a fellow black man, I'd like to say Jalen Brunson has done more for black people than Jesse Jackson. Thumbs up, go Knicks. I'm not a black man, as you can probably tell. So I don't feel comfortable speaking to that point. I will, however, endorse your endorsement of Jalen Brunson and his uplifting of black people. And that is all I'm going to say about that for the moment. Shout out everybody. Danny Gardner, what's going on? How are you? Not a shot at Randall, but the RJ Obi moment was almost symbolic of the maturity of the rest of the team. Calm down, made up right away. RJ is an adult. He's fairly muted, but he's a pro's pro, so is Obi. That's a really great point, Danny, and I'm really thankful that you brought that up. Look, as my wife is currently in graduate school for a degree in advanced clinical psychology, I've, through her, become a lot more I'm knowledgeable about mental health, but like also like respectful of very real mental health challenges that people face. And I feel perfectly comfortable sitting about here and talking about how Julius Randle clearly faces challenges. What I feel less comfortable about is basically, and you're not doing this, to be clear, but like, basically bashing him for the fact that his challenges can have negative repercussions on the team. And to be clear, we don't know that they do. For all we know, and this is what I hope and believe, the rest of the team understands that Julius has stuff that he goes through and works through, and they are understanding of that, and so on and so forth. But your point is a well taken one. Thanks, Danny. Alex, this game was so good that I'm watching it again. My God, Brunson just ate up Mobley in the first quarter like he wasn't there. It's gonna be a good rewatch. Appreciate you, Alex. Thanks, man. Kevin Danishevsky, you won the week. Congrats! Oh my God, I did win the week. Still alive, baby. Still freaking alive, and it's my pick next week. Yes. Oh man. And I only have to pick 3 games. Ooh, that's gonna be tough because if I go 2-1, he's gonna go 3-0, and if I go 3-0, he's gonna go 2-1. Oh man. Okay. Thanks, Kevin, for alerting me of that. I completely forgot. Also, oh wait, no, go back. Hold on, I didn't read the rest of it. That's something about Schwinn and Tibbs. I can't miss that. Schwinn is praising Tibbs on Twitter. The best evidence for his Coach of the Year case. Seriously, great job. All the right buttons tonight and all year. I don't know about all year, but lately for sure. Yeah, that's pretty good evidence. Thanks, Kev. Appreciate you. Johnny Chiba. Addition by subtraction, team ball is better than iso ball, no boneheaded turnovers. Did they have any 1 or 2 boneheaded turnovers tonight, but not really for the most part. Julius Randle certainly has taken care of his turnover issues for the most part this season. They had 7 turnovers this year, so to be fair, not very many. And iso ball, like Jalen Brunson, that's still iso ball. What Jalen Brunson does, that is very much iso ball. But it is one guy who's doing it and not 2, and Brunson is a little bit quicker off the ball. It just looks different. It feels different. There's a little bit more movement within the iso ball. I know you're not a Randall fan, Johnny, but we got to be fair here. Thank you, as always. Angel with another one. This is the best version of Tom Thibodeau we're watching. We got this comment already. So thanks again, Angel. David Els, thank you for the contribution. I don't see a comment for you. If you made a comment, hopefully Justin can get that up there. But thank you, David. Alex with another one. Brunson scored 33 in the first half because he had to get his points in before Tibbs benches him in the 4th. Okoro's gonna fake an injury in the first round. You're very funny, Alex. Big Isaac Okoro series. Big Isaac Okoro. I mean, if I was a Cleveland Cavaliers podcaster, one, that would be unfortunate because I would have grown up in Cleveland. And two, I would probably be talking about the X factor for the first round being, can Isaac Okoro hit open threes? I think that I would be talking a lot about that. Because like you figure he's going to get the most minutes. I'm just looking at Cavs. So Cleveland, because LeVert can't defend well enough. Cleveland, why can't I see this? Oh, here we go. 3-point percentage. So Cleveland, Dylan Windler. So Danny Green, by the way, is on Cleveland. I wonder if they turn to Danny Green in the playoffs. They're not going to Windler. So Chetty Osman's a 36% three-point shooter. Isaac Okoro's a 36% three-point shooter on 2.3 attempts per game. Now, my understanding is that number has gone up lately or over the course of the year. Chetty is at 36%. Dean Wade's at 35%. And then you go down to Lamar Stevens is at 32%. You know, yeah, it's going to be Okoro and I would guess Stevens are going to be the two guys who are going to get the chance at small forward a lot. Okoro, though, he has to make threes and only 2.3 attempts per game, 36%, and those are all wide open. You know, no one's guarding him on those. So that may be the wild card for the series. Thanks, Alex. Kevin, hashtag we here to stay. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. And appreciate everyone still watching, by the way. We're over 3 hours. It's one in the fucking morning. It's Saturday. Alex with another one. iHeart got kicked in his orange and blue balls, yet still competed for the best game of the season. That was not fun. That did not look like a good time when Isaiah Hartenstein got kicked in the nudicles there. It was unfortunate. And he's going to need those because his fiance is I'm not going to say anything else. He's going to need those, though. Yanni, what's going on, Yanni? Yes, I love Jalen Brunson so much. I never had a player like this to root for. Too young during the Houston and Sprewell era. Great win. Almost all the guys are playing great. Let's freaking go Knicks. They were different, man. Houston was not this kind of shot creator. Sprewell could be this level of shot creator when he wanted to be, but he wasn't like this consistently enough. And neither of those guys were point guards. So, when they had the ball, it wasn't like you didn't get that warm, fuzzy feeling that when Jalen Brunson has the ball, which is the biggest difference between him and Melo, right? Melo, and this is what frustrated people about Melo, and to some extent the same thing that frustrates people about Randall over the years, although Randall has obviously had a ton of assists over the last 3 seasons, is you just don't get that same warm, fuzzy feeling. You wonder, is this going to be the best possible possession? There was something when Jalen Brunson has the ball, the combination of shot making and that, again, the warm, fuzzy feeling of you feel like, all right, whatever happens, I trust. I have trust in this possession that this is going to be a good possession one way or another. So from that perspective, no, I don't think there was ever, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. Yanni with another one. Thank you, Yanni. Hey, KFS. Hey, John. Now to the problem. Can we withstand 30 minutes by RJ in the playoffs against his team? Help me feel better, please. Listen, let's not kill RJ. Come on. We gotta. RJ he has to just keep his head in the game. Keep his head in the game. Take quality shots. You know what RJ did tonight that I loved? And Tom Piccolo tweeted it out, and it didn't even generate an assist because Grimes missed the three. RJ had a really, really wonderful drive and kind of like a jump pass, but it was a really good pass to Quentin Grimes for an open three-pointer that I thought was just outstanding. Stuff like that. Defensively, I thought RJ was okay tonight. Actually, no, he wasn't okay. He was good. He was good tonight. He was good. He was good. Have faith. Keep the faith. Thanks, Yanni. Can't even say his name anymore. Robert Cross. First time, long time, John. I just got back from the gym. Of course you did. I can't believe this is still going on. You and me both, brother. You and me both. But again, it's the best fan base in the world. I guarantee you that there are people watching this right now in time zones across the world. And that is Knicks fandom in a nutshell. TRX and Cord tonight. What the fuck is TRX? That's I have a feeling TRX is something Robert made up. Or you know what would be even funnier is if Robert hired a personal trainer who, like, to fuck with him, like, made up a fake personal training thing that is not a real thing, and has Robert doing all sorts of nonsense that aren't helping his physical fitness at all at the gym. That would be great. No, apparently TRX is a real thing. The world's most versatile, affordable, and effective gym. I don't know what the hell this is. This seems like nonsense. Yeah, okay. Well, you have fun with your TRX, Robert. As my daughter just woke up. Sam Garcia's dad. I hope I didn't wake her up. What's going on, Ray? When Mitch went down, I didn't think they'd recover. Same when Jalen Brunson went down. Same with Julius. For all the flaws this team has, they deserve credit for picking up the slack when one of their big players goes down. Hashtag we good. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's a great way to, I think this is going to end the live stream. Last super chat of the live stream. I couldn't agree more. It's what I said at the top. It's resilience. It's the defining characteristic of this team. They are resilient. And they are resilient and they're good. And when you're resilient and you're good in life and in sports, that's a dangerous combination. Especially when you have confidence and you know it, you know? So shout out to you, Ray. Shout out to everyone still watching, and shout out to everyone who tuned into this live stream. And if you're checking out the podcast, obviously tomorrow, shout out to you too. Great win. Our longest one of these yet that we have ever done. I just don't know how to shut up, apparently. But thanks to everybody for checking out another post-game live stream. I'm going to go attempt to put my 2-year-old back to sleep before my wife has to get up and do it. So thank you. We'll have some check out content this weekend from Knicks Film School. We got, I'm sure, a bunch of stuff. And then pregame Washington, postgame with me, Washington. Maybe emergency live stream if we clinch the playoffs tomorrow. I don't know if I should have said that out loud. Andrew might get mad at me if we can't do that, but I'm going to just say it anyway. We'll see. Anyway, all right. Everybody take care, and we will talk to you soon. Peace out.